Silence is more powerful than most people realize. The words you choose to speak or not speak shape your life in ways you may not notice. Every day, situations arise where saying less can protect your peace, your relationships, and even your future. Yet, many of us respond too quickly, react too strongly, or share too much, and that can lead to mistakes, regrets, and unnecessary stress. In this audiobook, you will learn how to recognize the moments when silence is not just an option but a tool. You will discover 12 real life situations where keeping quiet can give you clarity, help you make better decisions, and strengthen your emotional control. You will see how silence allows you to observe people more clearly, respond thoughtfully, and maintain your dignity even when situations get tense. This is not about avoiding challenges or hiding your thoughts. It is about learning when to speak and when to pause so your words carry weight, your actions remain deliberate, and your mind stays calm. You will find practical advice you can apply immediately, exercises to improve your self-control, and insights that help you grow emotionally, mentally, and socially. By the end of this audiobook, you will understand why the power of silence is unseen by many, yet it is a skill that can change your life. You will feel more confident, more in control, and better equipped to handle people and situations with wisdom and calm. The lessons in this audiobook will guide you step by step to master silence and transform how you live, think, and interact. Chapter 1: Choose silence when emotions rise and protect your clarity. Every human life contains moments when emotions rise suddenly and powerfully. A small comment can trigger anger. A misunderstanding can create frustration. A careless word from someone close can create deep hurt. In these moments, the mind begins to move fast and the body follows. The heart beats faster. The voice becomes sharper. Thoughts rush forward without careful control. Many people believe the strongest reaction is to answer immediately. They believe strength means speaking loudly and defending every feeling. Yet real strength often appears in a quieter form. Real strength appears when a person chooses silence in the middle of emotional chaos. Silence at the right moment protects something extremely valuable. It protects clarity. Clarity is the ability to see a situation as it truly is rather than how emotions make it appear. When emotions rise, the mind becomes cloudy. Thoughts become narrow. Judgment becomes weak. A person may believe they are speaking truth while actually speaking from pain or anger. Words spoken in this state often create damage that cannot easily be repaired. Relationships weaken. Trust fades. Regret grows later when the mind becomes calm again. Silence creates a small but powerful space between emotion and reaction. In that space, the mind begins to slow down. The body begins to relax. The storm inside the mind begins to settle. This is where clarity returns. Silence is not weakness. Silence is a form of discipline. It is a conscious decision to protect both the mind and the situation from unnecessary harm. Many people have experienced a moment when they said something during anger and wished later they could take those words back. Words move quickly, but their effects can last for years. Silence prevents that damage. Silence protects relationships. Silence protects reputation. Silence protects peace of mind. Imagine a simple situation at work. A colleague criticizes a task that required hours of effort. The comment feels unfair. Emotion rises immediately. The first instinct is to defend the work and point out the other person's mistakes. If that reaction happens instantly, the conversation can quickly turn into conflict. Voices become tense. Respect disappears. The problem grows larger than it needed to be. Now imagine the same moment handled with silence. Instead of reacting immediately, the person pauses. The body remains calm. The mind observes the situation rather than fighting it. The silence lasts only a few seconds, but those seconds allow emotion to lose its control. In that small pause, the person begins to see the situation differently. Perhaps the colleague is under stress. Perhaps the criticism contains a small truth that can improve the work. Perhaps the comment does not require any response at all. Clarity appears only because silence created the space for it. This practice may seem simple, yet it requires discipline. The natural human reaction is to respond quickly to emotional pressure. Society often rewards fast reactions. Social media encourages instant replies. Many environments encourage constant talking and constant defending of opinions. In such a culture, silence can feel uncomfortable at first, yet the individuals who learn this discipline develop a rare advantage. They remain steady when others become reactive. They remain thoughtful when others become impulsive. Silence does not mean suppressing emotions forever. Emotions are part of human life. Anger can signal injustice. Frustration can reveal important problems. Hurt can show where trust has been broken. These feelings deserve attention. The key is timing. Silence allows the person to process emotions before expressing them. Expression guided by clarity is constructive. Expression guided by uncontrolled emotion often becomes destructive. A simple daily practice can strengthen this skill. Begin by observing emotional triggers. Notice the situations that create strong reactions. These may include criticism, disagreement, disrespect, or sudden stress. Instead of reacting immediately, begin practicing a short pause. This pause can last only a few seconds, but it must be intentional. During this pause, focus on breathing slowly and steadily. A slow breath sends a signal to the nervous system that the situation does not require panic. The mind begins to slow down. This simple action can prevent many impulsive reactions. Another helpful step is to ask a quiet internal question before speaking. Ask whether the response will improve the situation or simply release emotion. This question creates awareness. Many reactions fail this test. They add heat to the moment rather than clarity. Silence becomes the wiser choice. A person who practices silence during emotional moments begins to notice interesting changes in everyday life. Conflicts decrease. Conversations become more thoughtful. Other people begin to respond with more respect because the calm presence creates a different atmosphere. People often mirror the emotional energy they receive. When one person remains calm, others often calm down as well. Silence also allows deeper observation. During emotional moments, people reveal important aspects of their character. Some individuals speak from frustration. Some seek attention. Some project their own insecurity onto others. A silent observer begins to see these patterns clearly. Words spoken too quickly often hide these insights. Consider a family disagreement. A conversation about a small issue suddenly becomes emotional. One person raises their voice. Another person responds with equal intensity. Soon everyone is speaking at once and no one is truly listening. The original issue disappears and the argument becomes about pride and emotional defense. In this situation, one person choosing silence can change the entire direction of the moment. Silence interrupts the emotional chain reaction. When one voice stops competing for attention, the energy of the conversation begins to slow. The silent individual can listen carefully and later respond calmly. This calm response often redirects the discussion toward understanding rather than conflict. Silence in emotional moments also protects personal dignity. Words spoken during anger often sound harsher than intended. Insults appear. Personal attacks replace thoughtful communication. Later, regret becomes heavy because dignity was lost in a moment of uncontrolled speech. Silence preserves self-respect. Many wise individuals throughout history practiced this discipline. They understood that emotional control is one of the highest forms of personal mastery. Anyone can react quickly. It requires little effort to release frustration through speech, yet controlling speech during emotional pressure requires strength of character. This strength develops through repetition. The first attempts may feel difficult. Emotions may still push strongly toward reaction. Yet each successful moment of silence strengthens the habit. Over time, the mind learns that reacting immediately is not necessary. The person becomes less controlled by emotional impulses and more guided by thoughtful awareness. Another powerful benefit of silence during emotional moments is the protection of relationships. Words spoken in anger often remain in memory long after the emotion disappears. People may forgive, but they rarely forget painful words. Silence prevents these wounds from being created in the first place. When the mind becomes calm later, the person can choose a better time to communicate honestly and respectfully. Calm communication creates understanding. Emotional reactions create division. Silence allows the right moment for meaningful conversation. Some people worry that silence may appear weak. They fear others will believe they have nothing to say or cannot defend themselves. In reality, silence often communicates quiet confidence. A person who does not react impulsively shows control. Others sense that control and often respond with greater respect. Confidence does not require constant speech. True confidence is comfortable with quiet observation. It understands that not every comment deserves a reply. Not every criticism requires defense. Not every emotional moment needs immediate resolution. Silence also helps develop patience. Patience grows when the mind learns to wait rather than react instantly. This patience improves decision-making in many areas of life, including work, relationships, and personal growth. Many mistakes occur when decisions are made during emotional pressure. Silence creates the pause needed for thoughtful action. A helpful exercise involves reviewing past emotional situations. Think about a time when anger or frustration led to words that created regret. Imagine how the situation might have unfolded differently if silence had been chosen in that moment. This reflection strengthens the understanding of silence as a protective tool. Another exercise involves practicing calm responses after a pause. Silence does not mean avoiding communication forever. After emotions settle, the person can express thoughts clearly and respectfully. Calm speech carries more influence than emotional speech because it shows thoughtfulness rather than reaction. Daily life offers many opportunities to practice this discipline. Traffic delays create frustration. Workplace disagreements create tension. Family misunderstandings create emotional pressure. Each of these moments offers a choice between reaction and silence. The individual who chooses silence first often gains the greatest control over the situation. Silence allows observation. Observation allows understanding. Understanding allows wise action. Clarity is the ultimate reward of this practice. When the mind is clear, the person can see the real issue rather than reacting to temporary emotion. Solutions become easier to identify. Communication becomes more respectful. Confidence grows because actions are guided by thought rather than impulse. Emotional clarity also protects mental health. Constant emotional reactions create exhaustion. The mind remains trapped in cycles of anger and frustration. Silence interrupts this cycle. It allows the mind to step back from emotional turbulence and return to stability. This stability becomes a powerful advantage in modern life where emotional pressure appears constantly. News headlines create outrage. Online conversations create endless arguments. Many people live in a state of continuous reaction. The individual who practices silence remains grounded while others become overwhelmed. Over time, this practice builds a reputation. People begin to recognize the calm individual as someone who does not lose control easily. This reputation creates trust. Leaders are often those who remain calm during pressure because others feel safe around their steady presence. Silence during emotional moments also deepens self-understanding. When the person pauses, rather than reacting, they can observe their own emotional patterns. They can ask why certain words trigger strong reactions. This awareness leads to personal growth. The individual begins to understand their own fears, expectations, and insecurities more clearly. With this awareness, the person gains the ability to improve themselves rather than blaming others for emotional reactions. Personal responsibility replaces emotional impulse. Growth replaces conflict. Life will always contain emotional moments. No person can avoid them completely. The goal is not to eliminate emotion, but to manage it wisely. Silence provides the first step in that management. It gives the mind time to recover its balance. Over months and years, this discipline transforms character. The person becomes calmer, more thoughtful, and more respected. Conflicts become less frequent. Decisions become wiser. Relationships become stronger because communication is guided by clarity rather than emotional storms. Choosing silence when emotions rise is a small action that produces powerful results. It requires only a few seconds, yet those seconds protect the mind from regret and confusion. They protect relationships from unnecessary harm. They protect dignity and self-respect. Each day offers opportunities to practice this skill. A comment may trigger irritation. A misunderstanding may create frustration. In that moment, remember the value of silence. Take a slow breath. Allow the mind to settle. Observe the situation rather than reacting instantly. Clarity will begin to return. Thoughts will organize themselves. The best response will become visible. Sometimes that response will be calm speech. Sometimes it will be continued silence. In either case, the decision will come from wisdom rather than impulse. A disciplined mind does not rush to prove itself in every emotional moment. It understands that peace and clarity are more valuable than winning a temporary argument. It values thoughtful action over quick reaction. With consistent practice, silence becomes natural. Emotional moments lose their power to control behavior. The person becomes the master of their reactions rather than the victim of them. Clarity becomes a daily companion. Peace becomes stronger. Confidence grows quietly. This transformation begins with a simple choice repeated again and again. Choose silence when emotions rise and protect the clarity of your mind. Chapter 2. Practice quiet listening to understand people before responding. Many conversations fail not because people lack intelligence, but because they lack the patience to truly listen. Words move quickly between people, yet understanding moves much slower. Most individuals enter a conversation already preparing their reply, instead of absorbing what the other person is actually saying. The mind becomes busy forming arguments, explanations, or defenses. As a result, the real message being shared often passes by unnoticed. Quiet listening is a rare skill in a world that rewards loud voices and fast reactions, yet it is one of the most powerful tools a person can develop. When someone practices quiet listening, they give full attention to the speaker. They allow the other person to finish their thoughts without interruption. They observe tone, emotion, and intention. This simple act changes the entire quality of communication. Understanding another person requires more than hearing words. It requires patience and mental presence. Words carry information, but tone carries emotion. Facial expressions reveal hidden thoughts. Small pauses in speech can show hesitation or uncertainty. A listener who remains quiet begins to notice these details. These details reveal the deeper meaning behind the conversation. Many conflicts begin because people misunderstand each other. Someone feels unheard. Someone feels dismissed. Someone believes their thoughts were ignored. When people do not feel understood, frustration grows quickly. Arguments often start not because of disagreement, but because both sides feel they are speaking without being heard. Quiet listening breaks this pattern. When someone feels genuinely heard, their emotional tension often decreases. They become more open to discussion. They become more willing to hear another perspective. The conversation becomes calmer and more productive. Imagine a common situation in daily life. A coworker approaches with a complaint about a shared project. Their voice carries frustration. Their words may sound sharp. The natural reaction might be to defend your position immediately. The mind begins to prepare explanations. Yet immediate defense rarely solves the situation. A different approach creates a better outcome. Instead of interrupting, allow the coworker to finish speaking. Maintain calm eye contact. Pay attention to their words without forming a quick reply. Notice what they are truly concerned about. Perhaps the complaint is not about the project itself, but about feeling overwhelmed or unsupported. Once the person has finished expressing their thoughts, respond calmly and thoughtfully. Often the conversation shifts immediately. The coworker feels respected because their voice was heard. Now they are more willing to listen in return. A solution becomes easier to find because the emotional tension has decreased. Quiet listening also improves personal relationships. In families and friendships, many misunderstandings arise because people talk over each other. One person begins explaining a concern while another person interrupts with a defense. The original message becomes lost, and both individuals walk away feeling frustrated. Listening quietly changes the dynamic. When someone speaks about a concern, allow them the space to express their full thought. Avoid finishing their sentences or correcting small details. Focus on understanding the emotional meaning behind their words. This practice creates a strong sense of respect. Every human being wants to feel that their thoughts matter. When someone listens without interruption, they communicate a powerful message. They show that the other person's experience deserves attention. This simple respect strengthens trust. Quiet listening also helps a person gather better information. Decisions made after careful listening are often wiser than decisions made during rushed conversations. When people speak freely, they reveal useful details about their perspective, priorities, and concerns. These details provide valuable insight for resolving problems or making decisions. In professional environments, this skill becomes even more valuable. A leader who listens carefully gains a deeper understanding of their team. Employees often notice problems before management does. If they feel comfortable speaking openly, they can share ideas and concerns that improve the organization. However, employees rarely speak openly if they feel they will be interrupted or ignored. A leader who practices quiet listening creates an environment of trust. People feel safe sharing honest thoughts. This openness leads to stronger teamwork and better results. Quiet listening also helps control personal ego. The ego often pushes a person to prove their knowledge quickly. It encourages interruption so the individual can demonstrate expertise, yet wisdom often appears in patience rather than quick speech. When a person listens carefully, they may discover that the other individual has valuable insight. Even when disagreement exists, listening allows both sides to understand each other more clearly. This understanding makes productive discussion possible. Another benefit of quiet listening is emotional awareness. People often express feelings indirectly. A person may say they are tired when they are actually discouraged. They may criticize a small issue when they are feeling unappreciated. A quiet listener begins to notice these emotional signals. Responding to these deeper emotions strengthens relationships. Instead of arguing about surface-level details, the conversation addresses the real concern. This approach builds stronger connections between people. Developing this skill requires practice because the human mind naturally wants to respond quickly. One helpful habit is to pause for a moment after someone finishes speaking. This short pause allows the mind to process what was said. It also signals to the speaker that their words were fully received. Another helpful practice involves repeating the main idea of what the speaker said before giving a reply. This simple step ensures understanding. It also shows respect because the speaker knows their message was heard accurately. Body language also plays an important role in quiet listening. A calm posture and steady attention communicate interest. Looking at a phone or glancing around the room signals distraction. True listening requires full presence. Daily life offers many chances to strengthen this ability. During conversations with family members, focus completely on their words instead of planning the next statement. During work discussions, allow others to explain their perspective before offering suggestions. Even brief interactions can become more meaningful when attention is fully present. Quiet listening also protects against unnecessary mistakes. Sometimes a person reacts quickly because they misunderstood a situation. A rushed reply can create confusion or embarrassment. Listening carefully prevents these errors. In moments of disagreement, this skill becomes especially powerful. Disagreement does not have to lead to conflict. When both sides feel heard, they can explore different viewpoints calmly. Solutions often emerge when people work together rather than compete to be the loudest voice. Silence during listening does not mean passivity. It is an active process. The mind remains focused and alert. It analyzes the message while remaining patient. This disciplined attention transforms ordinary conversations into opportunities for deeper understanding. Another important aspect of quiet listening is humility. Every person carries experiences that shape their perspective. Listening allows access to those experiences. Even when opinions differ, each conversation provides a chance to learn something new about human behavior. Individuals who develop this habit often gain a reputation for wisdom. Others seek their advice because they feel comfortable sharing their thoughts. The ability to listen calmly makes people feel valued. Over time, this quality builds strong relationships in both personal and professional life. Quiet listening also encourages thoughtful speech. When a person listens fully before responding, their reply becomes more relevant and meaningful. Words become fewer but stronger. Conversations become more focused because responses address the real issue rather than emotional assumptions. Patience plays a major role in this practice. Some individuals need time to organize their thoughts. Interrupting them may cause confusion or prevent them from expressing their full message. Allowing them space shows respect and leads to better understanding. This approach can even transform difficult conversations. When someone feels upset, their words may come out quickly and emotionally. If they are interrupted, frustration increases. If they are allowed to speak fully, the emotional pressure begins to release. By the time they finish speaking, they often feel calmer. At that moment, a thoughtful response can guide the conversation toward resolution. The calm listener becomes a stabilizing presence in the discussion. This presence encourages cooperation rather than conflict. The discipline of quiet listening also improves self-awareness. By observing how others communicate, a person begins to notice patterns in human behavior. They see how emotions influence speech. They notice how tone changes when someone feels defensive or insecure. These observations deepen understanding of human nature. This knowledge helps a person navigate social situations more wisely. They can recognize when someone needs support, when someone seeks recognition, or when someone simply wants to be heard. The power of listening becomes clear through consistent practice. Conversations grow richer. Misunderstandings decrease. Relationships strengthen because people feel respected and valued. Each conversation offers a simple choice. One choice is to rush forward with immediate replies. The other choice is to remain quiet for a moment and truly listen. The second choice creates understanding. Understanding builds trust. Trust builds cooperation. Cooperation leads to stronger relationships and better outcomes in every area of life. The ability to listen quietly before responding may appear simple, yet it requires discipline and awareness. With daily practice, it becomes natural. The mind learns to slow down and give attention before forming words. When a person develops this habit, their communication becomes calm, thoughtful, and effective. They speak less but say more that truly matters. They create an atmosphere where people feel safe expressing their thoughts. Through quiet listening, the world becomes easier to understand because every conversation becomes an opportunity to learn. The listener gains knowledge not only about others but also about themselves. Practicing quiet listening before responding transforms ordinary dialogue into meaningful connection. It replaces confusion with clarity and conflict with understanding. In a world filled with noise, the calm listener becomes someone whose presence brings balance and thoughtful communication to every interaction. Chapter 13. Hold your words when anger pushes you toward regret. Anger is one of the most powerful emotions a human being can experience. It rises quickly and often without warning. A simple sentence, a disrespectful tone, or an unfair action can trigger it. When anger appears, the body changes immediately. The heart beats faster, muscles tighten. The mind becomes narrow and focused on the source of the frustration. In that moment, the desire to speak becomes very strong. Words rush toward the mouth with force and urgency. Many people believe releasing those words immediately will solve the problem. They believe that speaking with intensity proves strength. Yet in most situations, anger pushes a person toward words that later create regret. Words spoken during anger rarely represent the best version of a person. They often exaggerate the problem, attack the other person, or express emotions that are stronger than the situation truly deserves. Once those words leave the mouth, they cannot be taken back. The moment passes, but the damage may remain for a long time. Relationships weaken, trust fades, and respect decreases. This is why the discipline of holding your words during anger is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. Holding words during anger does not mean ignoring problems or pretending that nothing happened. It means refusing to allow temporary emotion to control permanent consequences. Anger can cloud judgment and create the illusion that immediate reaction is necessary. In reality, most situations benefit from patience and thoughtful response. Many people can recall a moment when anger pushed them to speak harshly. At the time, it felt justified. The emotion was intense and the words seemed like a natural reaction. Later, when calm returned, the person realized the situation could have been handled with more wisdom. Regret appears because clarity returns after emotion fades. Holding words in the moment of anger prevents this painful cycle. Consider a simple example from daily life. A colleague at work criticizes your effort in front of others. The comment feels disrespectful and unfair. Anger rises quickly. The mind immediately begins forming sharp replies. It may even begin collecting past mistakes made by the colleague in order to attack their credibility. If those words are spoken, the conversation quickly becomes a battle of ego and pride. The workplace environment becomes tense and uncomfortable. Now imagine choosing a different path. Instead of releasing the words that anger is demanding, you pause. You remain quiet for a moment. You allow the emotional surge to pass through the body without turning it into speech. This short pause gives the mind time to regain balance. The situation begins to appear differently. Perhaps the colleague spoke without thinking carefully. Perhaps they are dealing with stress from another problem. Perhaps the comment contains a small truth that can improve your work. By holding your words, you gain the ability to respond later with calm and intelligence rather than immediate hostility. Anger is a natural human emotion. It signals that something feels wrong or unjust. The problem is not the presence of anger, but the speed at which people often react to it. Emotional energy can be useful when directed properly. It can motivate action and encourage people to stand up for themselves when necessary. However, that energy must be controlled before it becomes speech. The discipline of holding words during anger begins with awareness. A person must recognize the physical signals that appear when anger begins to rise. These signals may include a faster heartbeat, tension in the shoulders, or a sudden urge to interrupt someone. These signals act as early warnings. When they appear, it is a sign that silence may be the wisest choice for the moment. One effective strategy is to slow the breathing. A few steady breaths calm the nervous system and give the mind time to organize thoughts. This simple act creates distance between emotion and reaction. It reminds the mind that it has control over its responses. Another helpful practice is asking a silent question before speaking. Ask whether the words forming in the mind will solve the problem or simply release anger. In many cases, the answer becomes clear immediately. Words driven by anger rarely improve the situation. They often make the problem larger. Holding your words also protects personal dignity. When anger controls speech, people sometimes say things that do not reflect their true character. Insults, exaggerations, and accusations may appear. Later the person realizes those words were not necessary. Silence protects a person from lowering themselves to a level they will regret. This discipline also strengthens emotional maturity. Emotional maturity means the ability to experience strong feelings without being controlled by them. A mature individual understands that emotions are temporary. They rise, reach a peak, and eventually fade. When a person holds their words, they allow the emotional wave to pass before deciding how to respond. In relationships, this skill becomes extremely valuable. Many conflicts between friends, partners, or family members begin with a moment of uncontrolled anger. A harsh statement spoken in frustration can leave a deep mark. Even when apologies follow, the memory of those words can remain. Choosing silence during anger prevents those wounds from forming. It allows the conversation to pause until both sides can think clearly. Later the issue can be discussed calmly and respectfully. This approach strengthens relationships because it shows commitment to understanding rather than emotional victory. Holding your words also helps reveal the true nature of a situation. Anger often exaggerates problems. It convinces the mind that an issue is larger than it actually is. When silence creates space, the mind begins to see details that were hidden by emotion. The problem may turn out to be small or temporary. This clarity allows wiser decisions. Instead of reacting impulsively, the person can choose a response that protects both the relationship and their self-respect. In professional settings, the ability to control anger through silence builds strong leadership qualities. People trust individuals who remain calm during difficult moments. A leader who reacts emotionally may create fear or tension within a team. A leader who pauses and speaks thoughtfully earns respect and confidence. Silence also provides an opportunity to observe others during moments of conflict. When anger fills a room, many people react immediately. The individual who remains quiet gains the ability to see how others behave under pressure. This observation offers valuable insight into character and motivation. Daily practice strengthens this discipline. Every day contains small frustrations. Traffic delays, unexpected problems, or misunderstandings with others can trigger irritation. These moments serve as training opportunities. By choosing silence in small situations, a person prepares themselves for larger challenges. Over time, the mind becomes less reactive. Emotional triggers lose their power. Instead of rushing toward regretful speech, the person naturally pauses and evaluates the situation. Another powerful benefit of holding words during anger is mental peace. Constant emotional reactions create exhaustion. The mind becomes trapped in cycles of frustration and argument. Silence interrupts these cycles and allows the mind to return to stability. A calm mind thinks clearly and acts wisely. It sees solutions where an angry mind sees only enemies. This calmness becomes a personal advantage in every area of life. It is important to remember that silence in the moment of anger does not mean avoiding necessary conversations. Some issues require honest discussion. The key difference is timing. Speaking when the mind is calm leads to productive dialogue. Speaking during intense anger often leads to conflict without resolution. After emotions settle, the person can express their thoughts with clarity and respect. They can explain how the situation affected them and listen to the other perspective. This balanced communication creates understanding rather than division. Holding your words when anger rises is not easy at first. It requires discipline and awareness. Yet with consistent effort it becomes a natural habit. Each moment of silence strengthens self-control and reduces future regret. The true measure of strength is not how loudly a person can react, but how wisely they can respond. Anyone can release anger through speech. Few people have the patience to pause and choose a better path. Every time anger appears, it presents a choice. One path leads toward immediate reaction and possible regret. The other path leads toward silence, clarity, and thoughtful action. Choosing silence protects dignity, relationships, and peace of mind. It allows the person to rise above temporary emotion and act with purpose rather than impulse. Life becomes calmer and more balanced when anger no longer controls speech. Words become more meaningful because they are chosen carefully. Conversations become more respectful because they are guided by thought rather than emotional pressure. Holding your words in the moment when anger pushes hardest is an act of self-mastery. It shows that your character is stronger than your emotions. It shows that your future peace is more important than a temporary release of frustration. Through patience and discipline, this practice transforms the way you handle conflict and communicate with others. The result is a life guided by clarity, wisdom, and respect rather than regret. Chapter 4. Protect your plans by speaking less about future goals. Every person carries dreams about the future. Some dream about building a successful career. Others imagine creating a business, improving their health, learning new skills, or transforming their life in meaningful ways. These ideas begin as quiet thoughts inside the mind. At first they feel exciting and full of possibility. The mind begins to picture what life could look like if those goals are achieved. During this stage, many people feel a strong urge to share their plans with others. They speak about their future goals with enthusiasm and confidence. They explain what they will accomplish and how their life will soon change. While this may feel motivating in the moment, speaking too much about future goals can weaken the very plans a person hopes to achieve. Plans grow stronger in silence. When a goal remains mostly private, the mind treats it as a responsibility rather than a performance. Quiet determination encourages action. Speaking too much about a goal often replaces action with conversation. The person begins to receive attention and praise simply for describing the plan. This attention can create the illusion of progress, even when nothing has actually been built yet. Human psychology plays an important role in this process. When people announce their goals publicly, the brain sometimes experiences a small sense of reward. Others may respond with encouragement or admiration. The individual feels proud for having a strong vision. This feeling can reduce the internal pressure to work hard because the mind already feels recognized. Instead of moving quietly toward the goal, the person may continue talking about it while progress slows. Protecting your plans means keeping the focus on action rather than explanation. Work becomes the primary language. Results become the true message. When a person speaks less about their goals, they maintain a strong connection between effort and achievement. Another important reason to protect your plans involves the reactions of other people. Not everyone responds positively when they hear about ambitious goals. Some individuals may doubt the plan, others may criticize it. A few may even feel threatened by someone else's determination. These reactions can introduce unnecessary negativity into the early stages of progress. Early stages of any goal are fragile. Confidence may still be developing. Skills may still be improving. During this time, outside opinions can influence the mind more strongly than expected. A single dismissive comment can create doubt that slows momentum. Silence protects the goal from these distractions. Quiet progress creates a different kind of strength. When a person works steadily without constant announcements, their confidence grows through real experience rather than external approval. Each small achievement builds belief in their own ability. This belief becomes stable because it is based on effort rather than praise. Imagine someone who decides to start a new business. In the beginning, they have an idea and strong motivation. If they immediately tell everyone about the plan, many conversations will follow. Some people may offer encouragement. Others may ask difficult questions about risk, money, or competition. These questions may create anxiety before the person has even begun the real work. Now imagine the same person choosing a quieter path. Instead of explaining the entire vision to everyone around them, they focus on learning, planning, and building. They research their market, develop skills, and create a solid foundation. Months later, they begin showing results rather than predictions. At that point, their actions speak clearly and confidently. Silence during the early stages also helps maintain concentration. Talking about goals often invites discussion that pulls attention away from the actual work. Conversations can lead to debates, opinions, and distractions. Quiet focus allows the mind to stay directed toward the steps required for progress. There is also a deeper emotional benefit to protecting plans through silence. Goals represent personal growth. They reflect a person's desire to improve their life. When these ideas are shared too freely, they sometimes become exposed to unnecessary judgment. Some people may question whether the goal is realistic or worthwhile. These comments can weaken motivation if the individual is not prepared for them. By keeping plans private or sharing them only with a few trusted supporters, a person creates a safe space for growth. Within that space, they can experiment, learn from mistakes, and adjust their strategy without outside pressure. Another advantage of speaking less about future goals is the element of surprise. When a person works quietly and later reveals their progress, the impact is far greater. People see the results and recognize the dedication behind them. Respect grows because the achievement came through discipline rather than constant announcement. Quiet determination also protects a person from comparison. When goals are discussed frequently, people often begin comparing progress with others. This comparison can create frustration or impatience. Each person's path is different, and progress happens at different speeds. Silence allows a person to follow their own pace without the distraction of competition. Protecting plans does not mean isolating yourself completely. Guidance and support can be valuable when they come from the right people. The key is choosing carefully who hears about your goals. Trusted mentors, supportive friends, or experienced advisors can offer constructive insight. Their guidance strengthens the plan rather than weakening it. These conversations should remain focused on growth and learning rather than seeking constant approval. The goal is progress, not validation. Discipline plays an essential role in this process. The mind naturally enjoys recognition. It feels good when others acknowledge ambition or vision. Yet true achievement requires patience and restraint. Speaking less about future goals trains the mind to value results over attention. Daily actions become the foundation of success. Instead of repeating what you plan to do, focus on completing small steps that move the plan forward. Write the next page, practice the next skill, build the next piece of the project. These quiet efforts accumulate over time and eventually produce visible results. Another important benefit of protecting plans is mental clarity. When a person constantly talks about future goals, they may begin to feel pressure to meet expectations they created through those conversations. Silence removes this pressure. It allows the individual to adjust their path without feeling that they must defend their decisions publicly. Flexibility becomes easier when fewer people are watching every step. If the plan changes direction, the person can adapt without explaining every detail to a large audience. Patience grows stronger through quiet work. Many goals require months or years of consistent effort. Public excitement often fades quickly, leaving the individual alone with the long process of development. When the goal was kept private from the beginning, the person is already accustomed to working without constant recognition. Over time, this habit builds strong internal motivation. The individual learns to find satisfaction in progress itself rather than in external praise. Another powerful advantage appears when the results finally emerge. People notice achievements that arrive without warning. They see the discipline behind the success. This recognition carries more respect because it was earned through consistent action. Quiet work also creates peace of mind. The person is not constantly explaining their journey or responding to opinions. Their energy remains focused on building rather than defending their vision. Many successful individuals follow this principle. They move quietly while others talk loudly. They spend their time improving their craft rather than announcing future victories. When their work becomes visible, it reflects dedication rather than empty promises. Protecting your plans through silence is not about secrecy or fear. It is about wisdom and focus. It means understanding that progress requires concentration and patience. It means valuing steady effort over public excitement. Every goal begins as a fragile idea. It requires care, discipline, and time to grow. Too much exposure in the early stages can weaken it. Silence acts as protection while the foundation becomes stronger. As you move forward in your life, remember that your actions carry more power than your announcements. Let your work develop quietly. Let your efforts speak when the time is right. By speaking less about future goals, you give your plans the space they need to grow. You remove distractions, protect your confidence, and strengthen your focus. The path becomes clearer because it is guided by dedication rather than conversation. In the end, the world does not measure people by the goals they describe. It remembers the results they create. Quiet progress leads to lasting achievement, and disciplined silence often becomes the hidden force behind meaningful success. Chapter 5: Use silence to observe people and understand their true intentions. Human behavior reveals far more than spoken words. Every person expresses intentions through actions, tone, timing, and small choices that appear during ordinary moments. Many people miss these signals because they are busy talking, explaining, defending, or trying to impress others. When a person chooses silence, something powerful begins to happen. The mind becomes an observer. Instead of competing for attention, it begins collecting information. Silence creates the opportunity to watch people carefully and understand who they truly are. Observation is a quiet skill that grows stronger with patience. When a person speaks less, their awareness expands. They begin to notice details that usually pass unnoticed. A shift in voice, hesitation before answering a question, the way someone treats others when they believe nobody is paying attention. These small signs reveal character. Words alone rarely provide the full picture of a person's intentions. Many individuals present a version of themselves that they want others to see. They may speak confidently about honesty, loyalty, or kindness, yet true intentions appear through behavior over time. Someone may promise cooperation while quietly working for personal advantage. Another person may speak very little, but consistently show reliability and respect through their actions. Silence allows you to witness these patterns clearly. In everyday life, people often reveal their priorities through choices rather than speeches. A person who values integrity will behave consistently even when no reward is visible. Someone driven by selfish goals may appear friendly when it benefits them, but disappear when responsibility appears. Careful observation helps separate genuine character from temporary performance. Silence helps create this clarity because it reduces distraction. When the mind is busy preparing its next sentence, it loses the ability to observe. A quiet mind becomes attentive. It watches how people interact with others. It notices whether their actions match their words. Over time, these observations form a reliable understanding of who can be trusted and who should be approached with caution. This awareness is extremely valuable in both personal and professional life. Many problems arise when people place trust in individuals whose intentions were not carefully examined. A person may appear helpful while quietly pursuing their own interests. Without observation, these motives remain hidden until damage occurs. Silence allows time for patterns to appear. Anyone can behave kindly for a short moment. Real character becomes visible across repeated situations. When you step back and watch patiently, you begin to recognize consistency or the lack of it. Patterns reveal far more than a single conversation ever could. Consider a workplace environment where several colleagues collaborate on a project. Some individuals may speak frequently about teamwork and cooperation. Others may remain quiet, but work steadily to support the group. By observing silently, you begin to see who truly contributes and who prefers recognition without effort. This understanding helps guide your decisions about whom to trust with important responsibilities. Another powerful aspect of observation involves emotional awareness. People often hide their true feelings behind polite language. Silence helps detect these hidden emotions. A person may say they agree with a decision while their tone reveals hesitation. Another may claim confidence while their body language shows uncertainty. These signals provide insight into what a person truly thinks or feels. Recognizing these signals requires patience and attention. When conversations move quickly, these details become invisible. Quiet observation slows the moment enough for understanding to grow. Relationships also benefit from this skill. Many conflicts occur because individuals misunderstand each other's motives. Silence encourages listening and observation before forming conclusions. Instead of reacting to the surface of a conversation, you gain the chance to understand the deeper intention behind it. Sometimes a person's behavior reveals that they are struggling with stress or fear, rather than acting out of hostility. Observing calmly helps you respond with empathy rather than immediate judgment. At other times, observation may reveal that someone repeatedly acts in ways that harm trust. In such situations, silence provides clarity that guides wiser boundaries. This approach also protects your own peace of mind. When people rush to judge others based only on words, they may form incorrect assumptions. These assumptions create unnecessary tension and confusion. Observation replaces assumption with evidence gathered through experience. Silence strengthens intuition as well. Intuition develops when the mind has space to process subtle signals. When you remain quiet and attentive, your mind begins connecting small details that reveal the larger truth about a situation. This ability becomes sharper over time, helping you navigate complex social environments with confidence. Another important benefit of observing people through silence is learning from their behavior. Every interaction becomes a lesson about human nature. You begin to see which habits lead to success and which lead to conflict. Some individuals manage pressure calmly, while others react impulsively. Watching these differences provides valuable insight for your own growth. Observation also helps identify individuals who bring positive energy into your life. Some people consistently support others, encourage progress, and maintain honesty even during difficult moments. Recognizing these qualities allows you to build strong relationships with those who deserve your trust. At the same time, silence helps reveal patterns that signal caution. Someone who frequently changes their story, avoids responsibility, or speaks negatively about others may not be a reliable partner in work or friendship. Observing these behaviors early helps prevent future problems. Developing this skill requires discipline because many social situations encourage constant conversation. Silence may feel unusual at first, yet calm presence often communicates confidence and attentiveness. People may even feel more comfortable sharing their thoughts because they sense they are being truly heard. When others speak freely, they often reveal far more information than they intended. They may explain their motivations, fears, ambitions, or frustrations without realizing it. A quiet observer gathers these insights naturally without asking many questions. This does not mean manipulating others or seeking hidden weaknesses. The purpose of observation is understanding, not control. It helps you respond wisely, choose trustworthy companions, and maintain healthy boundaries. Daily life offers countless opportunities to practice this awareness. During conversations, notice not only what people say, but how they say it. Observe whether their actions later support their words. Watch how they treat individuals who cannot offer them any advantage. These moments reveal true character. Over time, the ability to read these signals becomes stronger. You develop a clearer sense of who deserves your confidence and who should remain at a distance. Decisions become easier because they are based on real observation rather than hopeful assumptions. Silence also protects you from unnecessary involvement in conflicts or misunderstandings. When you observe carefully before acting, you can recognize situations that require caution. Instead of reacting immediately, you allow events to unfold and gather the information needed to respond intelligently. This calm awareness creates stability in your life. You move through social environments with clarity rather than confusion. Your choices about partnerships, friendships, and collaborations become more thoughtful. Observation through silence also strengthens personal wisdom. Each experience adds to your understanding of how people behave under pressure, success, disappointment, and change. This knowledge becomes a valuable guide in future situations. When you speak less and observe more, the world reveals itself more clearly. Motivations become visible, patterns appear, character becomes easier to recognize. Instead of being surprised by people's behavior, you begin to anticipate it through careful awareness. This practice does not require special talent. It only requires patience and discipline. Anyone can learn to slow down, listen carefully, and watch the small details that reveal the truth about human behavior. In time, this quiet habit becomes a powerful advantage. You navigate relationships with greater confidence because your understanding is built on observation rather than assumption. Trust becomes a thoughtful choice rather than a quick reaction. The ability to observe people through silence transforms everyday interactions into opportunities for deeper understanding. Each moment of patience brings greater clarity about the intentions that guide human behavior. By speaking less and observing more, you gain the insight needed to protect your peace, build stronger relationships, and move through life with wisdom and awareness. Chapter 60. Pause and stay silent when criticism appears without reason. Criticism arrives in many forms. Sometimes it comes from a person who wants to help. Sometimes it comes from someone who is frustrated and speaks too sharply. And sometimes it comes from no useful place at all. It is careless. It is unfair. It is spoken to wound rather than improve. In those moments, the first instinct is often to defend yourself immediately. The heart tightens. The face changes. The mind begins preparing a reply before the other person has even finished speaking. Yet there is real power in doing the opposite. When criticism appears without reason, stay silent for a moment. That pause can protect your peace and preserve your dignity. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Not every harsh sentence deserves a response. Some criticism has no real substance behind it. It comes from envy, insecurity, ignorance, or a bad mood. If you answer too quickly, you may end up fighting a shadow. You may give importance to words that were never wise in the first place. Silence helps you separate truth from noise. It gives you time to decide whether the comment deserves attention or simply deserves to pass by. A calm pause is not surrender. It is self-command. It shows that another person's opinion does not control your inner state. Many people feel powerful when they provoke a reaction. They enjoy seeing anger rise because it confirms their impact. Silence removes that reward. It keeps your emotions under your own authority. That alone can change the entire direction of the moment. When criticism is unfair, the natural urge is to prove yourself right immediately. You want to explain. You want to correct every detail. You want the other person to understand your side at once. but emotional defense often creates more harm than the original comment. The more quickly you react, the less clearly you think. A rushed reply can turn a small issue into a larger conflict. A silent pause gives your mind room to breathe. In that space, the truth becomes easier to see. Sometimes a person criticizes you in public. That can feel deeply uncomfortable. The face grows warm. The body wants to strike back with words sharp enough to make the other person feel the same embarrassment. Yet public arguments rarely lead to respect. They usually produce noise and regret. Staying silent in that moment protects your image more than an emotional defense would. It shows that you are not ruled by impulse. It shows that your self-respect does not depend on winning every exchange. There is also wisdom in remembering that unfair criticism often reveals more about the speaker than about you. Someone who judges too quickly may be carrying their own frustration. Someone who speaks with cruelty may be protecting a fragile sense of self. Someone who dismisses your effort may not truly understand it. When you stay silent long enough to observe this, the criticism loses some of its power. You begin to see it as a reflection of the other person's state rather than a full measure of your worth. Silence in the face of baseless criticism gives you the rare chance to choose your response with care. You may decide later that no response is needed. You may decide to answer briefly and calmly. You may decide to correct one important point without entering into a long argument. The key is that the choice comes from clear thinking rather than emotional pressure. This discipline is especially useful in work and family life. At work, criticism can appear from a supervisor, a co-worker, or even someone who barely understands the task. In family settings, criticism can come from old patterns of misunderstanding where certain people are quick to judge and slow to listen. If you respond with immediate frustration, the situation can become heavier than it needs to be. A pause gives you control over tone and timing. That control often matters more than the words themselves. The habit of silence also protects your energy. Unfair criticism can drain a person if they allow every remark to enter deeply. When you respond to every careless opinion, your mind stays trapped in other people's judgments. You start living inside their noise. Silence creates distance. It reminds you that your time and attention are valuable. It allows you to spend your energy on what actually matters. Another benefit is that silence gives your body time to settle. Strong criticism can trigger a rush of physical stress. Breathing becomes shallow, muscles tighten, the mind narrows. If you speak during that spike, your words may carry more force than wisdom. A brief silence allows the body to return to a more balanced state. Once calm returns, your reply is more likely to be measured and effective. Some people fear that silence will make them look weak. In reality, it often has the opposite effect. A person who does not scramble to defend themselves can appear steady and confident. They show that their identity is not fragile. They do not need to prove their value in every moment. That kind of inner steadiness earns respect far more reliably than quick outrage. Still, silence should not become avoidance in every situation. There are times when criticism contains something useful. A mature mind does not reject every correction. It listens carefully and asks whether there is truth worth keeping. The pause helps with that too. It allows you to filter. If the criticism has value, you can use it without absorbing the disrespect that may have come with it. If the criticism is empty, you can let it go without carrying it any farther. That ability to filter is one of the marks of wisdom. A person without self-control reacts to every sound. A person with discipline knows how to sort. They ask whether the comment is helpful. They ask whether a reply will improve the situation. They ask whether the moment is even worth the effort. Silence makes those questions possible. In daily life, this practice can become a steady habit. When someone speaks unfairly, do not rush to answer. Take one breath. Keep your face calm. Let the sentence land without letting it enter your peace. Then decide what kind of response is needed, if any. Sometimes the best response is a simple factual correction. Sometimes it is a quiet change of subject. Sometimes it is no response at all. The right choice often becomes clear only after the first wave of emotion passes. Living this way builds a stronger character. You become less controlled by the moods of other people. You stop chasing approval from those who misunderstand you. You learn that your worth does not rise and fall with every careless remark. That understanding brings deep freedom. When criticism appears without reason, stay silent long enough to protect your mind from needless damage. Allow the silence to create distance between insult and identity. Use that distance to think clearly, speak wisely, or choose not to speak at all. In that space, your dignity remains intact and your peace stays whole. Over time, this practice changes how you move through the world. You become calmer under pressure. You become wiser in conversation. You become harder to shake with empty words. That is not weakness. That is strength guided by discipline. Chapter 70. Resist the urge to answer every opinion about your life. Every person who chooses to live with purpose will eventually face opinions from others. Some opinions come from friends who care. Some come from family members who believe they understand what is best. Others appear from strangers, co-workers, or people who only see a small part of your life. Opinions arrive constantly because human beings naturally evaluate the choices of those around them. They compare paths, question decisions, and offer advice even when no advice was requested. The challenge is not avoiding these opinions, because that is impossible. The real challenge is learning not to answer every single one. Many people feel a strong urge to explain themselves whenever someone questions their decisions. If someone doubts a career move, the mind quickly begins preparing a defense. If someone comments on personal habits or lifestyle choices, the person may feel pressure to justify those actions. This reaction seems natural because humans want to feel understood. They want others to see their reasoning and recognize the effort behind their choices. Yet constantly explaining your life to everyone who has an opinion creates exhaustion and distraction. Your life is not a debate that must be defended in every conversation. It is a personal journey shaped by your values, your experiences, and your responsibilities. When you try to answer every opinion, you slowly give away your peace. You spend time proving your choices rather than living them. The mind becomes busy managing other people's expectations instead of focusing on meaningful progress. Resisting the urge to respond to every opinion is an act of self-respect. It means understanding that not every voice deserves equal influence in your life. Some people speak from genuine concern. Others speak from habit. Some offer opinions simply because they enjoy giving advice. A few may even express judgment without truly understanding your circumstances. Responding to all of them would require endless explanation, and even then, not everyone would agree. Silence in these moments is powerful. When you choose not to answer every comment, you protect your energy. You keep your attention directed toward your own path. The more focused you remain, the more steady your progress becomes. Life improves through consistent action, not through constant defense of personal decisions. Consider a situation where someone questions a career choice. Perhaps they believe a different path would be safer or more traditional. Their opinion may come from a limited perspective. They might not understand the preparation, passion, or long-term vision behind your decision. If you feel obligated to explain every detail, the conversation can become long and frustrating. Even after explaining your reasons, the other person may still hold their view. In such moments, silence can be more effective than argument. A calm response or a brief acknowledgement may be enough. Your progress will eventually speak more clearly than any explanation. Real results carry far more weight than long conversations. The same principle applies in many areas of life. Personal habits, health decisions, relationships, financial plans, and daily routines often attract comments from others. People sometimes assume they understand what another person should do, even when they have little knowledge of the situation. If you react to every suggestion or criticism, your mind becomes crowded with outside noise. Resisting the urge to answer every opinion helps maintain clarity. It reminds you that your life is guided by your own priorities. Of course, guidance from trusted mentors and loved ones can be valuable. Wisdom from experienced individuals can help you avoid mistakes. The difference lies in choosing whose opinions deserve attention. Not every opinion holds the same weight. A thoughtful conversation with someone who understands your values may provide useful insight. A quick comment from someone who barely knows your situation does not require the same level of response. Learning this distinction protects your focus. Silence also encourages stronger inner confidence. When a person constantly defends their choices, they often depend too heavily on approval from others. Over time, this creates insecurity because external opinions always change. One person may support your decision while another criticizes it. If your confidence depends on these reactions, your peace will constantly shift. Choosing not to answer every opinion strengthens internal stability. It means you trust your own process, you understand your goals and the effort required to reach them. Instead of looking for validation in every conversation, you allow your actions to represent your commitment. This approach does not mean ignoring all feedback. Constructive advice from people who truly understand your journey can be extremely valuable. The key is thoughtful selection. A wise person listens carefully to those who have earned their respect while calmly ignoring unnecessary commentary. Another benefit of this discipline is emotional balance. When someone questions your life choices, it can trigger defensiveness or frustration. If you answer quickly, the conversation may become tense. By resisting the urge to respond immediately, you create a moment of calm. That calm moment allows you to decide whether the discussion is even necessary. Often the best response is simple acknowledgement, followed by quiet continuation of your path. A short reply such as appreciating the concern without entering a long explanation can end the conversation peacefully. This approach keeps relationships respectful while protecting your time and energy. Life becomes easier when you accept that not everyone needs to understand your decisions. People see the world through their own experiences. Their opinions often reflect their own fears, hopes, or expectations. Expecting universal agreement creates frustration because every individual interprets life differently. When you stop trying to satisfy every opinion, you gain freedom. Your energy becomes available for meaningful work rather than endless explanation. Progress becomes the focus instead of persuasion. Silence also reveals something important about human nature. Many opinions fade quickly when they do not receive attention. A person who offers advice may move on to another topic if the conversation does not turn into a debate. By resisting the urge to answer every remark, you avoid creating unnecessary conflict. This discipline becomes especially important in an age where communication happens constantly. Messages, comments, and discussions appear through phones and online platforms throughout the day. Every opinion does not require a reply. Choosing when to speak and when to remain quiet protects mental clarity. Imagine living each day responding to every judgment or suggestion you encounter. The mind would never rest. Your attention would remain divided among countless voices. Real progress requires concentration, and concentration grows stronger when unnecessary conversations are removed. By resisting the urge to answer every opinion, you create space for deeper thinking and purposeful action. Your time becomes more valuable because it is directed toward growth rather than debate. Over time, people will notice the difference. Instead of someone who reacts to every comment, they will see someone who moves steadily toward their goals. Quiet determination carries a strong presence. It shows that you respect your own path enough not to argue about it constantly. There is quiet strength in letting results speak. When your actions demonstrate commitment, people begin to understand without needing long explanations. Success and personal growth often answer questions more effectively than words ever could. Life offers many voices, but not all of them deserve a place in your mind. Choosing silence in the face of unnecessary opinions protects your peace, strengthens your focus, and keeps your energy directed toward what truly matters. Resisting the urge to answer every opinion is not about ignoring others. It is about recognizing that your life is guided by purpose rather than by endless discussion. Through calm silence and steady effort, your journey continues forward with clarity and confidence. Chapter 80. Stay quiet when gossip invites you into negative conversations. Gossip often begins quietly. It rarely announces itself as something harmful. Instead, it appears in ordinary conversations where someone casually mentions another person's situation, behavior, or mistake. At first it may seem harmless. It might even feel like simple curiosity or a way to pass time during a slow moment. But negative conversations built around other people's lives slowly drain energy from everyone involved. They shift attention away from meaningful growth and toward criticism, speculation, and judgment. Learning to remain quiet when gossip invites you into these conversations is a powerful act of discipline. It protects your character, your peace of mind, and the atmosphere around you. Silence in these moments shows that you are not interested in spreading negativity. It signals that your time and attention are focused on more constructive things. Gossip has a strange way of spreading quickly because people naturally enjoy stories. When someone shares a piece of information about another person, listeners often feel tempted to add their own thoughts. The conversation grows as more opinions and guesses appear. What began as a simple comment can easily turn into a long discussion filled with assumptions that may not even be true. Participating in these conversations may seem harmless in the moment, yet it quietly shapes your mindset. When the mind becomes used to discussing other people's problems or flaws, it develops a habit of focusing on negativity. Over time, this habit affects how you see the world. Instead of looking for opportunities, ideas, or solutions, the mind begins searching for faults and weaknesses in others. Choosing silence interrupts this pattern. When gossip appears and you refuse to contribute, the conversation often loses momentum. Your quiet presence sends a message that you are not interested in criticizing someone who is not there to speak for themselves. This simple decision protects your integrity. Integrity is built through small, daily choices. People notice who participates in negative conversations and who remains respectful. A person who consistently avoids gossip earns a reputation for maturity and trustworthiness. Others begin to feel comfortable sharing meaningful ideas with them because they know their words will not be turned into rumors later. There is also a practical benefit to staying quiet during gossip. Information passed through casual conversations is often incomplete or inaccurate. When people discuss someone else's life without full understanding, they rely on guesswork. If you join that discussion, you may unknowingly repeat something that is incorrect. Later, when the truth becomes clear, those words cannot be taken back. Silence prevents this situation. By choosing not to comment, you avoid becoming part of a story that may have little connection to reality. You protect yourself from misunderstandings and unnecessary conflict. Another reason gossip spreads easily is because it creates a temporary sense of connection among the people participating. Sharing secrets or opinions about someone else can make individuals feel united in the moment. However, this connection is fragile. Conversations built on criticism rarely lead to genuine trust. If someone frequently speaks negatively about others, it raises a quiet question in the minds of listeners: what might this person say about me when I am not present? When you remain quiet in these situations, you build a different type of connection. Your calm presence shows respect for others, even when they are absent. This behavior builds stronger relationships over time because people know you value fairness and dignity. Silence during gossip also strengthens emotional discipline. It requires self-control to resist the temptation of joining an active conversation. The mind may feel curious about the details being shared. It may feel the urge to contribute a quick opinion or a personal observation. Choosing not to act on that impulse develops patience and awareness. Every moment of restraint strengthens the ability to guide your own behavior rather than reacting automatically. This skill becomes valuable in many areas of life because it encourages thoughtful communication instead of impulsive speech. Negative conversations can also influence your mood. Listening to criticism, complaints, and rumors for long periods slowly creates tension in the mind. Even if the conversation does not involve you directly, the atmosphere becomes heavy. This emotional weight can follow you throughout the day. By staying quiet and refusing to engage deeply in gossip, you reduce that influence. Often the best response is simply to listen briefly without reacting or to gently redirect the topic towards something more positive. If the conversation continues in a negative direction, creating a reason to step away can protect your mental clarity. This approach does not require confrontation or judgment. It simply involves maintaining personal boundaries. You do not need to lecture others about gossip or criticize their behavior. Quietly choosing not to participate is enough to demonstrate your values. There is also a deeper reason for avoiding these conversations. Every person has struggles that others cannot fully see. Life includes private challenges, difficult decisions, and personal growth that often remain hidden from public view. Discussing someone else's life without understanding these details can lead to unfair conclusions. Silence shows respect for this unseen complexity. It recognizes that every individual deserves dignity even when they are not present to explain their story. People who develop this habit of quiet restraint often find that their conversations gradually become more meaningful. Instead of discussing other people's problems, they talk about ideas, goals, learning experiences, and opportunities for improvement. These discussions create a more positive environment where everyone involved can grow. Your words shape the atmosphere around you. When your speech avoids negativity, you contribute to a healthier environment, both socially and mentally. Others may even begin to follow your example. A single person choosing not to gossip can slowly influence the tone of an entire group. Remaining quiet during gossip also reflects a deeper level of self-focus. It shows that your attention is directed toward your own growth rather than toward judging the lives of others. Time spent analyzing rumors could instead be used to improve your skills, strengthen your relationships, or reflect on your own goals. The most successful and balanced individuals often understand this principle clearly. They value their time and mental energy too much to spend it in conversations that produce no benefit. Their attention remains directed toward building something meaningful in their own lives. Silence in these moments does not mean you are distant or unfriendly. It simply means you are selective about the conversations you support. You prefer discussions that encourage understanding, creativity, and progress rather than criticism and speculation. Over time, this habit creates a calm and respectful presence. People begin to recognize that your conversations carry purpose rather than negativity. They may even feel encouraged to bring more thoughtful topics when speaking with you. Life becomes lighter when unnecessary negativity is removed from daily communication. By staying quiet when gossip appears, you protect your character and preserve your focus on what truly matters. In the end, every conversation offers a choice. You can either contribute to a cycle of judgment or maintain a standard of respect through silence. Choosing silence in the presence of gossip reflects strength, wisdom, and a commitment to living with integrity. Chapter 9a. Control your reactions by choosing silence during heated moments. There are moments in life when emotions rise quickly and the atmosphere around you becomes tense. A disagreement may suddenly appear in a conversation. Someone might say something unfair or speak with anger. In these situations, the mind reacts immediately. Words begin forming before you have even had time to think clearly. The instinct to defend yourself or to respond with equal intensity feels strong. Many people believe that speaking quickly in these moments proves strength, yet the opposite is often true. Real strength appears when a person can control their reaction and choose silence until clarity returns. Heated moments are dangerous because emotions move faster than reason. When frustration, anger, or disappointment enters a conversation, the brain shifts into a defensive state. Instead of carefully evaluating the situation, it focuses on protecting pride and responding to the perceived attack. Words spoken during this emotional surge often carry more force than intended. A sentence that feels justified in the moment can easily cause lasting damage once the situation cools down. Choosing silence during these moments creates a pause between emotion and action. That pause may only last a few seconds, but it allows the mind to regain balance. Instead of reacting impulsively, you give yourself time to observe what is actually happening. This small space between feeling and speaking can prevent many unnecessary conflicts. Many arguments grow larger simply because both sides continue speaking without stopping to reflect. One person raises their voice, the other responds with even stronger words, and the conversation quickly turns into a battle of emotions. Each response increases tension. The original issue often becomes less important than the desire to win the argument. Silence interrupts this pattern. When one person refuses to escalate the situation, the emotional intensity has less fuel to grow. The conversation may still be difficult, but it remains manageable. A calm pause sends a signal that you are not interested in turning the discussion into a confrontation. Controlling reactions through silence does not mean ignoring problems. It simply means choosing the right moment to address them. When emotions are high, people rarely listen carefully. They focus on defending themselves rather than understanding the other person. Waiting until the atmosphere becomes calmer allows for a more productive exchange. Imagine a situation where someone criticizes your work in a harsh tone. Your first instinct might be to respond immediately with equal force. The mind quickly gathers arguments and prepares a defense. If you speak in that emotional state, your words may carry frustration that deepens the conflict. Instead, remaining quiet for a moment changes the direction of the situation. You allow the other person to finish speaking while you observe their tone and intention. This brief silence gives you control over your response. Once the initial wave of emotion passes, your thoughts become clearer. You can decide whether the criticism contains useful information or whether it was simply expressed poorly. With a calm mind, you may respond respectfully, ask questions, or even choose to address the issue later. The result becomes a conversation rather than a confrontation. Silence also protects relationships. Many strong friendships, partnerships, and professional connections suffer because of words spoken in moments of anger. When people speak without control, they may express things they do not truly mean. Even if apologies follow later, those words can leave a lasting impression. By choosing silence when emotions rise, you reduce the chance of causing unnecessary harm. You give yourself the opportunity to respond with care rather than with impulse. Over time, this habit strengthens trust because others see that you handle tension with maturity instead of aggression. Another benefit of silence during heated moments is the clarity it provides. When you stop speaking and start observing, you gain a better understanding of the situation. You notice body language, tone, and the deeper reasons behind someone's frustration. Often anger is not only about the words being spoken, but about stress, misunderstanding, or personal pressure that exists beneath the surface. Listening quietly allows these details to become visible. With that awareness, you can respond in a way that addresses the real issue rather than reacting only to the emotion being displayed. This discipline also strengthens your personal authority. People naturally respect individuals who remain calm during conflict. A steady presence in a tense moment shows self-control and emotional intelligence. While others may lose their composure, the person who remains quiet and thoughtful stands out as someone capable of handling pressure. In professional environments, this quality is especially valuable. Leaders and respected colleagues are often those who maintain clarity when situations become stressful. Instead of reacting impulsively, they pause, observe, and respond carefully. Their calm approach helps others regain focus as well. Developing this ability requires practice. The instinct to react quickly is deeply rooted in human behavior. It may feel uncomfortable at first to remain quiet when someone challenges or criticizes you. The mind may interpret silence as weakness or fear. In reality, it represents strength because it demonstrates control over your own emotions. Each time you successfully pause before responding, you strengthen that control. The mind becomes more comfortable with patience. Over time, you begin to notice emotional signals earlier, allowing you to step back before the situation escalates. Another important aspect of this discipline is self-awareness. When you sense frustration rising within yourself, recognizing that feeling early allows you to manage it more effectively. A deep breath, a short pause, or a moment of reflection can prevent that emotion from taking control of your words. Silence does not mean suppressing your thoughts forever. Important issues still deserve discussion and resolution. The difference lies in timing and tone. Addressing a problem calmly after emotions settle often leads to a solution that benefits everyone involved. In many situations, once the intensity of the moment passes, the problem itself appears smaller and easier to solve. What seemed like a major conflict during the heat of the moment may simply require clarification or understanding. By controlling reactions through silence, you protect your peace and maintain control over your communication. You avoid becoming trapped in cycles of emotional conflict that waste time and damage relationships. Life will always present situations that test patience. Disagreements are unavoidable when people with different perspectives interact. The true measure of maturity lies not in avoiding these moments, but in responding to them wisely. Silence offers a powerful tool for navigating emotional situations. It gives your mind the opportunity to move from reaction to reflection. Instead of allowing anger or frustration to guide your words, you choose calm awareness. Through this simple discipline, heated moments lose much of their power. Conversations remain respectful, decisions become clearer, and relationships remain stronger. The ability to pause and remain quiet when emotions rise creates a steady foundation for thoughtful communication and lasting personal strength. Chapter 100. Listen deeply before speaking during serious family discussions. Family discussions often carry weight that goes far beyond ordinary conversation. Decisions about finances, health, living arrangements, or shared responsibilities can generate tension, strong emotions, and conflicting opinions. These discussions matter because family relationships are deeply intertwined with our daily lives, our support systems, and our sense of belonging. Speaking hastily or without fully understanding everyone's perspective can create misunderstandings, lingering resentment, or strained relationships that take years to repair. Listening deeply before speaking becomes essential to maintaining harmony and ensuring that your words contribute positively to the discussion. Deep listening requires more than hearing the words being spoken. It involves paying attention to the tone, body language, and emotions behind the statements. Often family members may express concern or frustration indirectly. A sibling's annoyance might reflect worry, a parent's insistence may reflect fear, and a partner's insistence on control may hide their own insecurities. By focusing fully on understanding the person rather than preparing a response, you gain insight into the underlying issues driving the conversation. In serious family discussions, interruptions are common. Each person may feel urgency to express their thoughts or correct perceived misunderstandings. Reacting impulsively during these moments often escalates tension. Choosing silence while listening gives others the opportunity to express themselves fully. It signals respect and patience, allowing each person to feel heard without fear of immediate judgment. This practice reduces defensiveness and encourages more honest and open communication. Listening deeply also allows you to identify patterns in the conversation. Recurring concerns, recurring frustrations, or repeated suggestions often reveal important truths about the family dynamics. Recognizing these patterns helps you respond in a thoughtful and constructive way rather than reacting to superficial details or temporary emotions. It positions you as a calm, reliable presence who contributes to finding solutions rather than fueling conflict. Often, during emotionally charged discussions, the mind begins preparing counterarguments while the other person is still speaking. This automatic reaction shifts attention away from listening and toward defending personal positions. By consciously choosing to suppress the urge to interrupt, you redirect mental energy toward comprehension and empathy. Understanding the full context before forming a response ensures that your contributions are measured, relevant, and helpful. Practical strategies for deep listening include maintaining eye contact, avoiding distractions, and focusing on one person at a time. Physical gestures such as nodding or brief affirmations can signal engagement without breaking the flow of the conversation. Asking clarifying questions only when the other person has finished speaking helps to ensure that you correctly understand their perspective. Silence in these moments is not emptiness. It is an active and intentional space for processing and reflection. When you speak after listening deeply, your words carry more weight. They reflect understanding rather than reaction. Statements formed after careful consideration are more likely to address the true issues at hand and demonstrate respect for everyone involved. The intention behind your words matters as much as the words themselves. Speaking after listening conveys maturity, emotional intelligence, and a commitment to preserving family relationships. Family discussions often involve sensitive topics such as inheritance, health decisions, or relationship boundaries. Misunderstandings in these areas can lead to long-term tension. Deep listening helps you identify the needs, fears, and motivations of each participant. By acknowledging these emotions before responding, you create a space where collaborative solutions become possible. People feel valued and understood when their experiences are recognized, even if they do not agree with every point you make. Another benefit of listening deeply is that it reduces personal stress. When conversations are rushed or dominated by emotion, the mind becomes tense and reactive. Listening fully without immediate judgment allows your nervous system to remain calm. Calmness promotes clearer thinking and helps prevent responses driven by anger, fear, or defensiveness. This emotional regulation benefits both the individual and the group, creating a healthier family atmosphere. In addition, deep listening allows you to identify when compromise or patience is necessary. Sometimes solutions require more information, more time, or more resources than initially apparent. By absorbing the full content of what family members express, you can discern where flexibility is needed and where firmness is appropriate. Your measured input helps prevent impulsive decisions that could create long-term consequences. Children, siblings, parents, and partners all have different ways of expressing themselves. Some may communicate openly and directly, while others may struggle to articulate their feelings. Deep listening accommodates these differences. It ensures that quieter voices are heard and that less assertive family members feel included. This inclusivity strengthens trust and fosters a sense of fairness within the family unit. Listening deeply also protects you from misunderstandings that can escalate into arguments. In the heat of conversation, assumptions often fill the gaps when full attention is lacking. Misinterpreted statements, misread tones, and unchecked emotions easily create conflict. By giving your full attention and seeking clarity before responding, you reduce the risk of creating problems where none existed. Serious family discussions frequently touch on matters of long-term importance. Decisions made without full understanding can have lasting effects on finances, living situations, health management, and emotional bonds. Engaging in deep listening before speaking ensures that your input is thoughtful, informed, and aligned with the family's shared priorities. It demonstrates that you value not only your perspective, but also the perspectives of others. Practicing deep listening in family discussions is a skill that improves with intention and repetition. It requires self-awareness, patience, and emotional control. You may notice at first that resisting the urge to interject is uncomfortable. Your instinct to defend your point or clarify a misunderstanding may feel strong. Each successful attempt strengthens the habit, making calm and attentive listening your natural response over time. This skill also teaches humility, understanding that you may not have all the answers, and that others' experiences and perspectives are valuable encourages mutual respect. Humility in conversation reduces conflict and increases cooperation. People are more willing to listen to you when they feel their viewpoints are genuinely considered. Ultimately, listening deeply before speaking transforms serious family discussions into opportunities for connection, problem solving, and mutual understanding. Your silence while others speak is not a void, it is a space of respect, empathy, and intentional awareness. The careful words you choose after listening become tools for clarity, harmony, and constructive action. Families grow stronger when conversations are guided by attention, understanding, and thoughtful responses rather than rushed reactions. By making deep listening a consistent practice, you create an environment where difficult discussions are navigated calmly, disagreements are resolved more effectively, and relationships are strengthened. Your presence during serious conversations becomes a stabilizing force that encourages thoughtful expression from everyone involved. Over time, Your ability to listen before speaking builds trust, fosters respect, and ensures that family decisions are made with wisdom, care, and long-term perspective. Chapter 11. Guard personal struggles by sharing only with trusted people. Personal struggles are a part of every life, but how you handle them can define your growth and your peace of mind. Everyone faces moments of vulnerability, whether it involves financial stress, emotional challenges, health issues, or difficulties in relationships. Naturally, there is a desire to seek support and to share burdens with others. However, not every person deserves access to the most private corners of your life. Sharing your struggles indiscriminately can lead to unintended consequences, including judgment, misunderstanding, or betrayal. Guarding personal struggles and sharing only with trusted individuals protects your dignity, maintains your focus, and preserves the energy needed to overcome challenges. Trust is a crucial element in determining who should be allowed into your personal world. Trusted people are those who have demonstrated reliability, empathy, discretion, and respect. They listen without exploiting your vulnerabilities or turning your challenges into gossip. Choosing to share sensitive information only with such individuals ensures that your emotional energy is supported rather than drained. This deliberate approach to sharing protects your peace while fostering meaningful and constructive connections. Many people make the mistake of revealing personal difficulties too broadly. They may speak to colleagues, casual acquaintances, or social media contacts without considering the potential impact. When struggles are shared with the wrong audience, the information can be distorted, misused, or used to manipulate. Even well-intentioned individuals can inadvertently offer advice that does not fit your situation. Guarding personal struggles prevents these risks and ensures that your energy remains focused on solutions rather than distractions. Silence regarding personal difficulties also strengthens resilience. Not every challenge requires external validation or attention. By holding certain struggles privately, you cultivate inner strength and problem-solving capacity. You learn to rely on your own judgment, to process emotions independently, and to seek solutions without being influenced by external opinions. This practice develops discipline and reinforces confidence in your ability to handle life's obstacles. Sharing personal struggles with the wrong people can also compromise relationships. When trust is broken or information is mishandled, it can create tension, resentment, or embarrassment. By carefully selecting whom to confide in, you protect both yourself and the quality of your relationships. Trusted individuals are able to offer support, perspective, and guidance without diminishing your autonomy or creating additional complications. Understanding the difference between seeking advice and seeking validation is important. Often, sharing struggles with untrusted individuals arises from a desire for reassurance or sympathy. However, this external validation rarely provides real solutions and may instead amplify feelings of doubt or dependency. When you focus on confiding in trusted people, your conversations become more purposeful, solution-oriented, and emotionally supportive rather than reactive or draining. Another benefit of sharing only with trusted individuals is that it encourages accountability. Trusted people are often invested in your well-being and can provide honest feedback without judgment. They can help you identify blind spots, recognize patterns, and implement practical strategies to address challenges. Their guidance is grounded in care rather than curiosity or criticism, making it far more effective for personal growth. Not sharing struggles widely also protects your reputation. In professional, social, or community settings, oversharing personal difficulties can unintentionally impact how others perceive you. Some may interpret vulnerability as weakness rather than resilience, and this perception can influence opportunities or interactions. Maintaining discretion ensures that your reputation reflects your character, integrity, and ability to handle challenges responsibly. Emotional energy is a limited resource. Every conversation you have requires attention, focus, and engagement. Sharing struggles with individuals who are not supportive or trustworthy can deplete this energy quickly. Negative responses, unsolicited advice, or criticism can leave you feeling worse rather than better. By confining personal disclosures to trusted people, you conserve energy, protect mental clarity, and maintain the focus necessary to work through your challenges effectively. Trust is earned over time through consistent behavior, observing how others handle sensitive information, how they respond to emotional disclosures, and whether they maintain confidentiality helps you identify trustworthy individuals. Once you recognize who can be trusted, your confidence in sharing increases, and the support you receive becomes reliable and meaningful. Listening to trusted people and accepting their guidance can accelerate personal growth. Trusted individuals provide perspective that may be difficult to see on your own. They offer insight based on experience, compassion, and objective observation. Their involvement is intentional and constructive, helping you navigate difficulties without distraction or exploitation. Guarding personal struggles also encourages self-reflection. When you process challenges internally before sharing them, you gain clarity about your needs, priorities, and possible solutions. Writing, meditating, or evaluating your situation privately allows you to approach trusted individuals with specific questions or guidance, making the interaction more effective and focused. It is important to establish boundaries regarding personal disclosure. Decide in advance what topics you are willing to discuss, with whom, and under what circumstances. This conscious approach prevents impulsive sharing and ensures that your private life remains protected. Boundaries communicate respect for yourself and your energy, while signaling to others that your personal struggles are to be handled thoughtfully. Practicing discretion in sharing struggles also builds emotional intelligence. You become more aware of the impact your words can have on others, as well as how others' words can affect you. This awareness improves communication skills, empathy, and the ability to form deep, supportive relationships with people who genuinely care. Over time, the habit of sharing only with trusted individuals strengthens resilience and independence. You develop the confidence to handle challenges without relying on constant external validation or support. At the same time, you learn to seek help strategically, ensuring that your interactions are productive, positive, and empowering rather than draining or risky. There is a subtle but powerful effect on personal empowerment when struggles are guarded. By managing the flow of sensitive information, you control your narrative and maintain agency over your life. You choose when, how, and with whom to reveal vulnerabilities, which reinforces your authority over your personal story and circumstances. Finally, sharing personal struggles selectively fosters meaningful connection. Trusted individuals appreciate the significance of the information you share and respond with care and thoughtfulness. These exchanges deepen bonds, create mutual understanding, and strengthen trust. Over time, your support network becomes a reliable source of guidance and encouragement, enhancing your capacity to overcome challenges and grow as a person. The discipline of guarding personal struggles is an essential skill for personal growth, mental clarity, and emotional well-being. It protects your peace, preserves energy, strengthens relationships, and enhances resilience. Sharing selectively with trusted individuals ensures that your vulnerabilities are treated with care, your challenges are addressed thoughtfully, and your focus remains on constructive solutions. This approach builds both inner strength and meaningful support systems, empowering you to navigate life's difficulties with confidence, wisdom, and purpose. Chapter 1:5 Practice silence when someone speaks from pure frustration. People often express themselves in moments of frustration, and those moments can be intense, raw, and emotionally charged. When someone speaks from pure frustration, their words may seem harsh, unreasonable, or even hurtful. It is easy to feel the urge to respond immediately, defend yourself, or justify your actions. However, responding impulsively in these moments usually escalates tension and clouds judgment. Practicing silence when faced with someone's frustration allows you to remain calm, understand the underlying emotions, and prevent conflict from spiraling out of control. Silence becomes a deliberate choice that protects both your peace and your relationships. Frustration often masks deeper feelings. People may be angry, stressed, or overwhelmed by situations that have little to do with you personally. Their words may be sharp or critical, but the real issue is often their internal struggle. By remaining silent, You give yourself the chance to distinguish between their emotions and the actual content of their message. This separation allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Listening without interruption is key to managing these moments effectively. Allowing the frustrated individual to express their thoughts fully demonstrates patience and self-control. It shows that you are present, attentive, and not driven by the need to defend or prove yourself. People often need space to release their emotions, and providing that space through silence can de-escalate the intensity of the situation. Silence also allows you to process your own emotional reactions. When confronted with frustration, your mind may automatically prepare arguments or defensive statements. Taking a deliberate pause before responding gives you time to assess your feelings, gain perspective, and choose words that are measured and constructive. Acting from a place of calm rather than reactivity ensures your response contributes positively rather than adding fuel to the emotional fire. Maintaining silence in these moments is not a sign of weakness. It is a demonstration of strength, emotional intelligence, and self-discipline. You are showing that your actions and words are guided by awareness rather than instinct. Others may initially misinterpret your quiet as passivity, but in truth it reflects a conscious choice to handle the situation with integrity and composure. When someone speaks from frustration, they often repeat themselves, raise their voice, or emphasize points emotionally rather than logically. Silence allows you to absorb these patterns without becoming entangled in them. You can observe their behavior, recognize triggers, and identify what is truly important in their communication. This understanding gives you a clearer foundation for a calm and meaningful response once the intensity subsides. Practicing silence also preserves relationships. Words spoken in moments of high frustration are rarely productive. Immediate reactions can be remembered long after the initial emotional flare has passed, creating tension and resentment. By staying quiet, you protect the relationship from unnecessary damage and demonstrate respect for the other person's emotions without compromising your own composure. In addition, silence provides space for reflection. While the other person expresses frustration, you have the opportunity to evaluate your own role, consider potential solutions, and decide on the best approach moving forward. This reflection ensures that your eventual response addresses the real issues rather than reacting to surface-level emotional outbursts. Understanding the difference between listening and responding is essential in these situations. Listening requires full attention, patience, and a willingness to withhold judgment. Responding, on the other hand, is the decision to act, speak, or provide guidance. Silence bridges the gap between these two stages, giving you time to process information and emotions effectively. Practicing silence can also help you develop empathy. By observing someone's frustration without immediate reaction, you can gain insight into their perspective. Empathy allows you to see the situation from their point of view, understand their emotional state, and respond in a way that validates their feelings without escalating conflict. Frustration can be contagious if not managed carefully. When one person is upset, it is easy to become equally emotional, reacting with defensiveness, irritation, or anger. Silence breaks this chain by introducing calm and stability into the interaction. Your composed presence can help lower emotional intensity and encourage the other person to communicate more rationally over time. Practicing silence also encourages thoughtful communication. When you speak after a period of quiet observation, your words are more likely to be intentional, precise, and effective. You can focus on solutions, constructive suggestions, or supportive statements rather than defensive arguments. This intentional approach promotes understanding, cooperation, and resolution. In professional or personal contexts, dealing with frustrated individuals requires a balance of patience and assertiveness. Silence allows you to remain patient while preserving the ability to assert boundaries and communicate effectively once the immediate frustration has passed. This balance ensures that your integrity and well-being are protected while maintaining productive dialogue. Additionally, silence allows time for emotions to settle. Immediate responses often lack clarity because both parties are caught up in heightened emotional states. Waiting until the individual has calmed down increases the likelihood of productive discussion and decision-making. It prevents miscommunication, rash statements, and actions driven by temporary emotional intensity. Another important aspect of silence is the protection of your mental space. Engaging in arguments with frustrated individuals can drain energy and leave you feeling overwhelmed. Choosing not to react immediately preserves focus, reduces stress, and allows you to approach the situation with a clear, balanced mindset. Silence also communicates self-respect and boundary awareness. It signals that while you are willing to listen, you are not willing to be drawn into unnecessary conflict or emotional escalation. This quiet confidence establishes limits without confrontation and encourages more constructive communication. Over time, practicing silence in response to frustration strengthens emotional resilience. Each encounter becomes an opportunity to refine self-control, develop patience, and observe human behavior without personal attachment. You gradually train yourself to respond rather than react, improving both interpersonal interactions and inner peace. In many cases, frustration is temporary and the intensity of emotions diminishes if not amplified by reaction. Silence allows these waves of emotion to subside naturally. By holding your words until clarity returns, you increase the effectiveness of your communication and avoid contributing to conflict unnecessarily. Silence does not mean avoiding issues or suppressing necessary conversation. Once the immediate frustration has passed, you can address concerns calmly, objectively, and constructively. The ability to wait ensures that discussions focus on resolution rather than venting or escalating emotional tension. Finally, practicing silence when someone speaks from pure frustration builds character. It teaches patience, self-control, and emotional intelligence. You learn to navigate difficult interactions without losing composure, to observe rather than react, and to respond with intention and clarity. This practice strengthens relationships, protects your peace, and equips you with the tools to handle the challenges of life with maturity and wisdom. Remaining silent in moments of frustration is a powerful strategy. It allows you to preserve calm, understand underlying emotions, protect relationships, and respond thoughtfully. By mastering this skill, you develop resilience, enhance communication, and maintain control over your emotional life while navigating the complexity of human interactions effectively. Chapter 39: Hold back words that could damage long-term relationships. Long-term relationships are among the most valuable parts of life, whether they involve family, close friends, romantic partners, or colleagues you rely on. The quality of these relationships often determines your emotional stability, personal happiness, and sense of belonging. Words have immense power in these dynamics. Spoken impulsively, they can wound, create mistrust, or leave lasting scars that take years to heal. It is not merely the intention behind words that matters, but their impact. Holding back words that could damage long-term relationships is a crucial practice for preserving trust, respect, and the deep connections that define meaningful human interaction. Every relationship experiences moments of tension, disagreement, or frustration. During these times, the instinct to express anger, irritation, or criticism can feel urgent and justified. However, acting on this impulse often exacerbates the problem rather than resolving it. By pausing before speaking, you allow space for reflection. This pause gives you time to consider whether your words will contribute to understanding or create division. Silence in these moments is a tool for protection, not avoidance. Holding back damaging words requires self-awareness. It is important to recognize the emotions driving your desire to speak. Are you angry, hurt, or feeling disrespected? Identifying the root cause helps you decide whether expressing your thoughts will address the issue constructively or simply vent frustration. Being conscious of your motives ensures that your communication is intentional rather than reactive. Timing is another critical factor. Certain moments are not suitable for addressing sensitive topics. If emotions are high or circumstances are chaotic, words delivered at that moment may cause more harm than good. Waiting for a calmer environment allows conversations to unfold with clarity and mutual understanding. Thoughtful timing protects the relationship and increases the likelihood of productive dialogue. Language choice also matters immensely. Words that insult, blame, or demean can leave long-lasting emotional wounds. Even if your intentions are to correct behavior or express feelings, harsh or careless language can overshadow the message. By holding back until you can frame your words thoughtfully, you ensure that your communication builds connection rather than erodes it. Listening is an essential complement to withholding harmful words. Often, conflicts arise from miscommunication or misunderstanding. By listening fully before responding, you gain insight into the other person's perspective. Silence allows you to absorb their thoughts and emotions without reacting defensively. Understanding their point of view reduces the likelihood of saying something damaging in the heat of the moment. Emotional regulation plays a central role in protecting relationships. Impulsive words are typically fueled by temporary emotions rather than long-term perspective. Learning to manage these emotions through breathing, reflection, or mindfulness techniques can prevent regrettable statements. Emotional control ensures that your responses are measured, respectful, and aligned with your values. Holding back damaging words also demonstrates respect for the other person. It communicates that you value the relationship enough to prioritize its long-term health over immediate satisfaction or self-expression. Respect fosters trust and mutual consideration, which are essential pillars of enduring relationships. When people feel respected, they are more likely to reciprocate with understanding and patience. Accountability is another important aspect. Withholding words does not mean suppressing important truths indefinitely. It means choosing the appropriate time and manner to express concerns constructively. When addressed thoughtfully, sensitive topics can lead to growth, improved understanding, and stronger bonds. Holding back only until you can communicate effectively ensures that your input contributes positively rather than destructively. Every relationship benefits from clear boundaries. Being aware of your emotional triggers and the topics that have previously caused conflict allows you to exercise discretion. Boundaries help prevent escalation and provide a framework for respectful interaction. Choosing silence in moments when words might harm reinforces these boundaries and protects the relationship's integrity. Practice and discipline are essential. Learning to hold back words takes repetition and conscious effort. Initial attempts may feel unnatural or uncomfortable because it goes against instinct. Over time, however, this habit becomes intuitive, and you develop the ability to respond thoughtfully even in high-pressure situations. This skill becomes a mark of maturity and emotional intelligence. Another reason to exercise caution with words is the permanence of their impact. While actions can sometimes be corrected, spoken words leave lasting impressions in the minds and hearts of others. A careless comment can create doubt, resentment, or defensiveness that lingers long after the moment has passed. Awareness of this permanence encourages careful reflection before speaking. Holding back words also protects your own peace. Engaging in verbal conflict or saying hurtful things can lead to guilt, regret, and stress. Silence allows you to maintain composure and clarity while navigating complex emotional situations. By avoiding impulsive reactions, you preserve your mental and emotional stability while safeguarding the relationship. The strength of long-term relationships is built on trust and reliability. When others know that you choose words carefully and prioritize the health of the bond, they feel secure and valued. This sense of trust encourages open communication, collaboration, and mutual support, forming a foundation that withstands challenges and disagreements over time. Practical strategies for holding back potentially harmful words include pausing before responding, counting to 10, or taking a brief walk to cool down. These actions create a buffer that interrupts impulsive reactions and provides the mental space needed to formulate a thoughtful response. Over time, these practices become ingrained and significantly reduce conflict. Developing empathy is also critical. Understanding the other person's emotional state and perspective helps you anticipate how your words might be received. Empathy encourages you to frame your communication in a way that is constructive, supportive, and sensitive to their feelings. This approach strengthens bonds and reduces the likelihood of damaging exchanges. Reflection after heated moments can further improve relationships. Reviewing situations where you almost spoke impulsively allows you to learn from experiences, identify triggers, and refine your communication strategies. This reflective practice builds awareness and enhances your ability to manage future interactions more effectively. Long-term relationships are dynamic, requiring continuous care and attention. Regularly practicing restraint with words ensures that conflicts do not escalate unnecessarily. It enables more meaningful conversations, deeper connection, and mutual respect. By prioritizing the relationship over immediate emotional expression, you contribute to its longevity and resilience. Holding back damaging words is not about avoiding honesty. It is about choosing how, when, and in what manner to communicate. Constructive honesty strengthens relationships, while impulsive expression can erode them. Strategic communication ensures that truth is delivered in a way that encourages understanding and problem-solving rather than defensiveness or emotional harm. Finally, mastering the art of withholding harmful words cultivates patience, self-control, and wisdom. It allows you to navigate complex interpersonal dynamics with grace and intentionality. Over time, this discipline enhances your character, deepens trust, and solidifies bonds that can withstand challenges, disagreements, and misunderstandings. Careful speech preserves love, trust, and mutual respect. Choosing silence over impulsive expression protects the foundation of relationships, encourages thoughtful dialogue, and ensures that long-term connections remain strong, supportive, and meaningful. This practice transforms interactions, strengthens bonds, and fosters a sense of security and stability that benefits everyone involved. Chapter 4 Funti. Choose silence to maintain dignity during disrespectful encounters. Disrespect can appear in many forms, subtle or overt, and it tests the strength of character more than any praise ever could. In moments where someone speaks harshly, disregards your boundaries, or acts with hostility, the natural instinct is to retaliate, defend yourself, or lash out verbally. Responding impulsively in these situations often escalates tension, diminishes your composure, and shifts focus from your values to the heat of the moment. Choosing silence in the face of disrespect is a deliberate act of self-control, a way to protect your dignity, and a tool for maintaining authority over your own behavior and emotions. Silence communicates strength, restraint, and clarity without the need for conflict or confrontation. Disrespectful encounters often provoke a rush of emotion, anger, hurt, frustration, and it can be challenging to separate these emotions from your response. By remaining silent, you allow yourself the time to observe both your feelings and the behavior of the other person. This observation is crucial because it prevents your reaction from being dictated by impulse. Silence creates a space where you can assess whether engaging will solve the problem or simply fuel negativity. It is a choice that signals you value your integrity above the desire to assert immediate retaliation. Choosing silence is also about preserving your self-respect. When confronted with disrespect, words spoken in the heat of the moment can compromise your character. They may escalate the conflict, cause embarrassment, or reflect poorly on your emotional control. By holding back, you maintain a sense of honor and dignity that cannot be diminished by someone else's behavior. Your silence demonstrates that your sense of self-worth is not dependent on the validation or approval of others. Observing the situation without responding allows for greater clarity. Often, disrespect says more about the person exhibiting it than about you. They may be projecting their insecurities, acting out of fear, or attempting to manipulate. Silence gives you the opportunity to recognize these patterns without getting caught in the emotional tide. You can assess the situation with a clear mind, determine your boundaries, and choose the most effective course of action later if necessary. Practicing silence in these moments requires emotional discipline. It is natural to want to defend oneself or assert dominance in the face of insult. Learning to resist this urge strengthens your emotional resilience and builds a foundation of inner calm. Over time, this discipline becomes intuitive, allowing you to handle disrespectful encounters with composure and strategic awareness rather than reactive hostility. Silence is a form of power. By not engaging in conflict, you refuse to give energy to negative behavior. This can be disarming to those who expect a reaction, and it signals that their attempt to provoke you has failed. Maintaining composure allows you to stay in control of your environment and your emotions, turning what could be a chaotic interaction into a moment of measured observation. Choosing silence does not mean tolerating abuse or compromising your boundaries. It is a way to manage the immediate emotional surge so that your response, if necessary, can be deliberate and effective. This practice allows you to protect your dignity while considering whether and how to address the disrespect constructively. Your actions remain intentional rather than reactionary, reinforcing your control over your own life and behavior. In moments of disrespect, the words you hold back are often the most powerful. Avoiding harsh retaliation prevents escalation and leaves room for calm reflection. You gain the ability to respond strategically rather than emotionally. This approach protects relationships, personal reputation, and mental peace while reducing the likelihood of regret over words spoken impulsively. Silence also communicates self-assurance. Those who attempt to provoke or belittle often seek a reaction. By remaining composed and quiet, you convey that their attempts do not unsettle you, and you remain anchored in your principles. This unspoken confidence commands respect without confrontation. It subtly communicates that your actions and emotions are not easily manipulated by external negativity. Listening and observing during these encounters provides insight into the other person's motives. Disrespect often emerges from frustration, envy, or misunderstanding. By practicing silence, you can discern the underlying causes rather than reacting to surface-level behavior. This insight allows you to respond thoughtfully or to disengage appropriately, preventing unnecessary conflict and maintaining your sense of dignity. Choosing silence also strengthens emotional regulation. Each time you refrain from reacting to disrespect, you train your mind to manage impulses and stay calm under pressure. This builds resilience, emotional intelligence, and a sense of mastery over your own behavior. Over time, this practice enhances your ability to navigate challenging interactions without losing composure. Silence provides room for strategic thinking. While others are consumed by anger or disrespect, your quiet observation allows you to evaluate options, anticipate consequences, and decide on the best approach. You gain a perspective that is unavailable in the heat of reactive engagement. This advantage allows you to protect both yourself and the relationship while maintaining authority over the situation. Maintaining silence in disrespectful situations is also a lesson in patience. Often, the intensity of disrespect is temporary, and emotions subside if not amplified by reaction. By holding your words, you allow the moment to pass without creating lasting damage. This patience ensures that subsequent communication, if necessary, is constructive and measured rather than impulsive and destructive. The habit of choosing silence fosters mental clarity and focus. Reacting immediately to disrespect can scatter attention and escalate stress. Remaining quiet allows you to maintain perspective, prioritize your objectives, and act only when it is truly productive. This clarity enhances your decision-making and prevents distraction from unnecessary conflict. Silence is a means of protecting your inner peace. Reacting to disrespect can drain energy, increase tension, and create long-lasting mental strain. Choosing not to respond preserves emotional stability, allowing you to approach the situation from a grounded, centered place. This practice reduces stress and increases your ability to handle future challenges effectively. Holding back words during disrespectful encounters nurtures respect for yourself and others. It communicates that you are capable of restraint, that you value meaningful dialogue over reactive arguments, and that your sense of self-worth is independent of external negativity. This approach encourages others to mirror your behavior, fostering a more respectful and constructive interaction. Long-term, the practice of silence in disrespectful situations builds character. Each encounter becomes an opportunity to refine patience, self-control, and awareness. You learn to respond strategically, protect your dignity, and navigate interpersonal challenges with intelligence rather than emotion. Over time, this strengthens both personal integrity and the quality of relationships. Choosing silence allows you to respond only when it matters. Not every disrespectful comment requires confrontation. By selectively speaking, you preserve the power and impact of your words. This strategic use of communication ensures that your interactions remain meaningful and that your voice carries weight when used purposefully. Silence in the face of disrespect also prevents escalation into public conflict or long-term resentment. By not reacting impulsively, you avoid situations that could damage reputation or relationships unnecessarily. This restraint ensures that any eventual conversation occurs in a context of calm, clarity, and mutual understanding, preserving dignity on all sides. Ultimately, choosing silence to maintain dignity is a lifelong practice of emotional mastery. It teaches patience, self-restraint, and strategic thinking. It protects your peace, strengthens relationships, and demonstrates strength without aggression. By exercising this discipline consistently, you cultivate respect, trust, and influence while preserving your integrity regardless of how others behave. Silence transforms disrespectful encounters into opportunities for reflection, growth, and self-control. It allows you to navigate challenging interactions with calm confidence, respond thoughtfully when necessary, and maintain authority over your emotions and decisions. The ability to remain silent is a powerful tool that protects dignity, fosters respect, and ensures that your words, when spoken, reflect strength, wisdom, and intentionality. Chapter Fifi. Allow silence to strengthen patience and emotional discipline. Silence is one of the most powerful tools for building patience and strengthening emotional discipline. In a world that constantly demands immediate reactions, rapid responses, and instant gratification, choosing silence allows the mind and emotions to settle into a controlled and reflective state. By pausing before speaking or acting, you create space to observe your own impulses, recognize underlying emotions, and respond with clarity rather than haste. Emotional discipline does not come from avoiding challenges or suppressing feelings. It comes from engaging with your inner world consciously and intentionally. Silence is the bridge that connects self-awareness to deliberate action, and it is through this practice that patience naturally develops. Practicing silence requires consistent mindfulness. It starts with the recognition that not every thought or emotion demands expression. Many impulses are fleeting and reactive, arising from frustration, irritation, or desire. By holding back from immediate expression, you give yourself the opportunity to understand these impulses without being controlled by them. Observing emotions in this way provides insight into your triggers and patterns, allowing you to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting unconsciously. Each moment of restraint strengthens your ability to remain composed under pressure. One of the most tangible benefits of using silence to cultivate patience is the ability to tolerate discomfort without immediate resolution. Life frequently presents situations that are inconvenient, challenging, or frustrating. Without the habit of silence, it is easy to lash out, complain, or take impulsive actions that only worsen the situation. By choosing quiet observation, you learn to endure these moments without unnecessary conflict. This endurance builds resilience, a key component of emotional discipline, and allows you to act with intention rather than reaction. Silence also provides the space for deep reflection. When emotions are strong, words can often escalate tension or create misunderstandings. By remaining silent, you give yourself the opportunity to consider your response carefully. You can assess whether expressing your feelings will contribute positively or simply release temporary frustration. This reflective pause ensures that your actions are aligned with your values and long-term goals rather than being dictated by fleeting emotions. Breathing techniques and mindful pauses are practical ways to implement silence in daily life. When confronted with a stressful interaction or a triggering situation, taking a few deep breaths and focusing on the present moment can reduce impulsivity. This momentary pause allows the mind to settle and the body to release tension. Over time, integrating these practices into your routine strengthens both patience and emotional control, making deliberate silence an automatic response rather than a conscious effort. Observing others in silence can also enhance empathy and understanding. When conversations become heated or opinions clash, Remaining quiet allows you to fully hear the perspective of others without immediately countering or defending yourself. Listening deeply in this way provides insight into motivations, feelings, and intentions, fostering more compassionate and strategic responses. Emotional discipline is reinforced when your reactions are informed by understanding rather than impulsive judgment. Silence teaches restraint, a vital aspect of self-mastery. Each moment you choose not to speak or act impulsively reinforces the idea that your behavior is governed by conscious choice rather than external pressures. This discipline becomes particularly valuable in professional, social, and familial settings where emotional reactions can have significant consequences. By practicing measured silence, you project confidence and control, even when situations are tense or unpredictable. Daily challenges are excellent opportunities to strengthen emotional discipline through silence. When faced with minor annoyances, interruptions, or disagreements, resisting the urge to react immediately cultivates patience and self-regulation. These small exercises accumulate over time, creating a foundation of emotional stability that is resilient in the face of larger stressors. Each practice strengthens your ability to remain calm, make thoughtful decisions, and maintain composure regardless of circumstances. Writing or journaling can complement the practice of silence by providing an outlet for thoughts and emotions without immediate verbal expression. When you feel compelled to speak impulsively, writing your reflections allows you to process emotions privately and thoughtfully. This practice enhances clarity, encourages introspection, and prevents regretful statements. It is a constructive way to honor your feelings while preserving calm and patience in external interactions. Silence is also a key factor in managing conflicts effectively. In disputes, immediate verbal responses often escalate tension and can damage relationships. Choosing quiet observation allows emotions to settle and provides time to formulate responses that are rational and solution-oriented. Patience gained through silence reduces the likelihood of misunderstandings and fosters more productive conversations. Over time, this habit reinforces emotional intelligence and strengthens interpersonal dynamics. The habit of silent reflection also improves decision-making. Decisions made impulsively in the heat of emotion are frequently flawed or regretted later. By pausing and observing both your internal state and external circumstances, you can analyze options more clearly and make choices that are aligned with long-term goals. Emotional discipline ensures that decisions are not influenced by temporary moods or reactive impulses, resulting in outcomes that are more stable and effective. Practicing silence in public or social settings demonstrates self-control and maturity. When faced with criticism, provocation, or disagreement, refraining from immediate response projects a sense of confidence and authority. People perceive calm composure as a sign of strength, wisdom, and stability. By exercising restraint, you maintain respect for yourself and others, and you prevent unnecessary escalation of conflicts or misunderstandings. Another essential aspect of silence is the ability to regulate internal dialogue. Often, emotional reactions are amplified by repetitive thoughts or mental arguments within the mind. By intentionally quieting this internal chatter, you reduce stress, gain clarity, and create a space for rational assessment. Silence becomes both a protective and developmental practice, allowing you to navigate emotions effectively without letting them dictate behavior. Practicing silence also reinforces mindfulness. By paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and reactions without immediately acting, you develop a heightened awareness of your emotional landscape. This awareness is fundamental to building patience because it allows you to recognize triggers and patterns before they result in impulsive behavior. Mindful silence is a form of training that strengthens both resilience and emotional intelligence. Implementing moments of silence in daily routines creates a rhythm of self-discipline. Taking time during morning routines, commutes, or breaks to sit quietly and reflect reinforces the habit of measured response. These consistent practices integrate patience into your life naturally, making emotional discipline a habitual rather than forced effort. Regularly engaging in silent reflection allows you to approach challenges with composure and intentionality. Silence encourages self-observation rather than self-judgment. Instead of criticizing yourself for feeling anger, impatience, or frustration, quiet reflection allows you to acknowledge these emotions without reacting immediately. This acceptance creates a healthier relationship with your inner world, reducing stress and fostering emotional resilience. Over time, the ability to observe without judgment strengthens patience and deepens self-understanding. Through silence, you learn to differentiate between urgent and important responses. Not every situation demands immediate verbal reaction. Choosing to remain quiet allows you to allocate your energy toward matters that truly deserve your attention. This discernment conserves emotional resources and fosters a more deliberate, thoughtful approach to life. Practicing silence also cultivates humility. It reminds you that you do not need to dominate every conversation, prove every point, or control every situation. By holding back and listening, you gain insight, perspective, and a more balanced approach to interactions. Humility combined with patience strengthens emotional discipline and creates stronger, more respectful relationships. In essence, allowing silence to strengthen patience and emotional discipline transforms both inner and outer life. Silence becomes a deliberate practice that enhances clarity, regulates emotion, and fosters thoughtful action. It nurtures self-control, resilience, and wisdom, enabling you to navigate challenges calmly, respond strategically, and maintain stability in the face of provocation or adversity. The continuous practice of silence shapes character, refines emotional intelligence, and promotes enduring patience. It equips you with the ability to handle difficult situations gracefully, respond with purpose, and maintain composure in every circumstance. By integrating this practice into daily life, you cultivate strength, clarity, and mastery over your emotions while fostering deeper understanding, respect, and stability in your interactions. Silence is not merely the absence of words, it is a deliberate choice to cultivate patience, self-control, and emotional intelligence. It empowers reflection, observation, and thoughtful action. By embracing silence consistently, you develop the ability to respond rather than react, to act intentionally rather than impulsively, and to build a foundation of enduring emotional discipline that enhances every aspect of life. Chapter 16c. Stay silent when success begins attracting unnecessary attention. Success is a double-edged sword that often brings attention from people who may not have your best interests at heart. When achievements begin to stand out, whether in your career, personal projects, or social circles, it is natural for others to take notice. Some of this attention can be positive, providing recognition and opportunities, but often it comes with subtle envy, unsolicited advice, or attempts to influence your path. Responding impulsively to this attention can undermine your accomplishments, create unnecessary conflict, or invite distractions that pull you away from your goals. Choosing silence in these moments allows you to maintain focus, protect your progress, and manage relationships with discernment. Silence is not a retreat, it is a strategic stance that preserves your energy, reputation, and clarity of purpose. Remaining quiet when success draws attention helps prevent exaggeration, misunderstanding, or misrepresentation of your achievements. Sharing too much can unintentionally create expectations or invite criticism. By exercising restraint, you control the narrative and maintain autonomy over how your success is perceived. This deliberate choice also fosters humility, demonstrating that your accomplishments are not a means to boast, but the result of consistent effort, discipline, and focus. Silence reinforces the value of your work without requiring external validation. Attention can manifest in many ways: questions about your methods, unsolicited suggestions, comparisons, or even passive judgments. Responding to every comment or inquiry may seem polite or necessary, but it often dilutes your focus and creates friction. Choosing to stay silent allows you to filter interactions and decide which deserve engagement and which are distractions. Silence provides the space to assess motives and intentions, protecting you from being drawn into conflicts or the agendas of others. Silence also strengthens emotional resilience in the face of envy or criticism. As your achievements become more visible, some people may react with jealousy, resentment, or dismissive commentary. By not reacting defensively, You maintain control over your emotions and prevent negative energy from influencing your state of mind. This restraint ensures that your focus remains on growth, progress, and purposeful action rather than on managing the opinions of others. Maintaining quiet in the wake of success allows for strategic observation. You gain insight into who supports your journey authentically and who may be seeking to exploit or influence your accomplishments. Observing without immediate response equips you to navigate relationships with wisdom, aligning your energy with people and opportunities that genuinely contribute to your goals. Silence becomes a tool for understanding and managing your environment. This practice also fosters discipline in communication. Success can tempt you to overshare, explain your methods, or justify your choices. Silence teaches the value of measured communication, ensuring that words are spoken intentionally rather than reactively. The ability to remain quiet enhances credibility, demonstrates self-control, and amplifies the impact of your statements when you choose to engage. Protecting your energy is another crucial benefit of silence during success. Increased attention can bring distractions, unsolicited opinions, and requests that drain focus. Remaining quiet allows you to allocate your time and resources strategically, prioritizing what truly matters. By not responding to every inquiry or comment, you conserve energy for actions that advance your objectives rather than dispersing it on external noise. Silence also preserves humility amidst achievement. Success can be isolating if others perceive it as a signal to compete, challenge, or critique. Choosing not to broadcast accomplishments ensures that recognition arises naturally rather than through self-promotion. This humility maintains authentic connections, builds trust, and prevents resentment from forming in social or professional circles. Developing the habit of quiet observation during success cultivates long-term wisdom. You learn to distinguish between genuine support and superficial attention, between opportunities that align with your vision and distractions that undermine it. Silence strengthens discernment, allowing you to make decisions with clarity rather than reacting impulsively to external pressures. When success draws scrutiny, silence prevents unnecessary conflict. Not everyone will respond positively to your achievements, and engaging defensively can escalate tension. By remaining composed and measured, you diffuse potential friction while maintaining authority over your responses. This approach ensures that your focus and energy remain aligned with your priorities rather than diverted by external judgments. Choosing silence in moments of recognition also enhances personal confidence. By not seeking validation or reacting to every opinion, you affirm your trust in your own abilities. Confidence grounded in action and self-awareness is far more resilient than confidence dependent on others' perceptions or approval. Silence reinforces inner assurance, showing that your sense of worth is rooted in your efforts and values rather than public attention. Silence provides time for strategic planning. Attention often demands immediate explanation or defense of your methods. By not reacting impulsively, you create space to evaluate situations, anticipate challenges, and plan thoughtful responses. This strategic pause ensures that your actions support long-term goals rather than responding to temporary pressure or scrutiny. The act of staying silent teaches patience. Recognition and attention can come with both immediate and delayed consequences. By refraining from reactive communication, you allow circumstances to unfold, giving yourself the clarity to engage at the right moment. Patience gained through silence strengthens decision-making and ensures that responses are measured and effective. Silence also protects relationships affected by your success. Jealousy or resentment can emerge among peers, colleagues, or friends. By choosing not to boast, argue, or explain unnecessarily, you reduce tension and foster respect. Quiet observation allows you to gauge reactions and interact in ways that preserve harmony while maintaining your autonomy. Remaining silent when attention grows encourages focus on continuous improvement. It is easy to become distracted by praise, envy, or opinions when success is visible. Silence allows you to center your energy on productive work, maintaining momentum rather than being sidetracked by external validation or criticism. Your progress remains driven by purpose, discipline, and consistent action rather than by reaction to attention. Silence during recognition builds credibility over time. Those observing your accomplishments witness composure, restraint, and self-mastery. Your ability to remain grounded in success without boasting enhances reputation, inspires respect, and establishes authority naturally. People take note of those who act with calm confidence rather than seeking attention through words alone. Practical steps for implementing silence include focusing on listening more than speaking, limiting social media exposure during peak recognition, and engaging selectively with inquiries or commentary. Creating boundaries around how and when to share achievements helps prevent energy loss and protects mental clarity. By consciously choosing quiet observation, you ensure that your focus remains aligned with strategic objectives. Ultimately, staying silent when success draws attention transforms recognition into a tool for growth rather than distraction. Silence allows for reflection, strategic planning, and preservation of energy and relationships. It cultivates humility, emotional discipline, and resilience while enhancing personal credibility and influence. The practice of measured silence empowers you to navigate success with intention, maintaining focus and integrity regardless of external pressures or attention. Success is amplified not by constant declaration, but by consistent action and deliberate restraint. Silence ensures that accomplishments are accompanied by wisdom, composure, and strategic foresight. By practicing quiet observation when attention rises, you protect your progress, maintain dignity, and position yourself to respond effectively when engagement is truly necessary. The power of remaining silent during recognition is a discipline that strengthens character, preserves clarity, and supports sustainable success. Silence becomes a deliberate practice that preserves energy, protects focus, and fosters emotional maturity. By resisting the impulse to explain, justify, or boast, you gain control over both perception and action. This approach cultivates patience, strengthens self-awareness, and ensures that your achievements remain meaningful and respected. Choosing silence during periods of attention solidifies discipline, reinforces credibility, and allows success to serve as a foundation for continued growth rather than a source of distraction. The decision to remain quiet is not passive but strategic. It demonstrates self-control, intentionality, and the ability to prioritize long-term objectives over short-term gratification. Silence allows you to assess situations carefully, navigate interpersonal dynamics wisely, and maintain composure under scrutiny. By exercising restraint when success attracts attention, you protect not only your progress but also your personal integrity, relationships, and mental clarity. Chapter 17. Observe quietly before making decisions in difficult situations. Difficult situations often come without warning, demanding decisions under pressure that can have lasting consequences. The natural instinct in these moments is to react immediately, to offer solutions, or to assert control. However, acting impulsively in times of uncertainty frequently leads to mistakes, misunderstandings, or regret. Observing quietly before making decisions allows you to gather information, assess dynamics, and understand the underlying factors influencing the situation. This pause provides clarity and ensures that actions are grounded in awareness rather than emotion or pressure. Observing quietly first creates mental space, giving your mind the opportunity to analyze circumstances objectively. When you step back from immediate involvement, you notice patterns, motives, and potential outcomes that are invisible in the heat of the moment. This attention to detail strengthens decision-making because it prevents you from responding solely to appearances or emotional triggers. Quiet observation is an active process of collecting insight, weighing options, and preparing to act with intelligence rather than impulsivity. Emotions often cloud judgment in difficult situations. Frustration, fear, or urgency can lead to overreaction, miscommunication, or hasty choices. By remaining silent and observing, you allow emotional intensity to settle. This creates an internal environment where rational thought can emerge. Emotional clarity gained through quiet observation prevents decisions driven by temporary agitation and ensures that responses are aligned with your goals and values. Observation also allows for strategic awareness of others involved in the situation. People act in ways that reflect their intentions, priorities, and limitations. When you take the time to watch carefully, you can gauge reactions, anticipate challenges, and understand motivations. This insight allows you to navigate interpersonal dynamics effectively, responding with tact and precision rather than reacting blindly. Understanding others before acting is a cornerstone of wise decision-making. Silence in observation cultivates patience. Difficult situations often present multiple possible outcomes, and immediate responses can limit flexibility. By pausing, you create the capacity to evaluate different scenarios and consider long-term effects. Patience prevents rash decisions and allows solutions to emerge naturally from informed analysis rather than instinctive reaction. When observing quietly, attention to detail is essential. Small actions, words, and gestures can reveal underlying truths about the situation and the people involved. These subtle cues often determine the most effective approach. Quiet observation hones your awareness, enabling you to notice elements that might otherwise be overlooked. This attentiveness ensures that decisions are comprehensive, well-informed, and likely to produce better outcomes. Observing before acting reduces the likelihood of regret. Decisions made impulsively often require correction, apology, or compromise later. By taking the time to reflect, you increase confidence in your choices and minimize the need for backtracking. Silence in the decision-making process is a proactive strategy that preserves resources, relationships, and credibility. Practical steps to implement observation include asking questions internally about the situation, noting patterns without immediate judgment, and remaining physically and mentally present without speaking prematurely. Journaling or mentally reviewing options can help organize insights. Avoiding premature commentary allows the full scope of the situation to unfold, giving you the information necessary for measured action. Observation also strengthens problem-solving skills. When you watch and listen without reacting immediately, you gain insight into the causes and implications of a situation. Understanding the root of a problem is far more effective than responding to symptoms alone. Quiet observation provides the foundation for creative solutions that address challenges comprehensively rather than superficially. In complex situations, timing is critical. Speaking or acting too soon can escalate conflict, create misunderstandings, or limit options. Observing quietly allows you to choose the optimal moment for action. Strategic timing increases the effectiveness of your decisions and demonstrates composure and foresight. Silence, in this sense, is not inaction but deliberate preparation. Observation builds self-discipline. The impulse to intervene, comment, or assert oneself is strong when situations feel pressing. By resisting this urge, you train patience, restraint, and focus. This discipline strengthens your ability to respond thoughtfully in all areas of life, particularly under pressure, making decisions more rational and effective. Remaining quiet also enhances emotional intelligence. By watching reactions, listening actively, and absorbing the atmosphere without immediate input, you gain insight into the feelings, concerns, and motivations of those involved. This awareness allows for responses that are empathetic and considerate, reducing friction and promoting constructive interaction. Decisions informed by observation are more likely to be respected and supported. Observation before action fosters a deeper understanding of cause and effect. Each element of a situation interacts with others in complex ways. Quick decisions may fail to account for these dynamics. By pausing, you can see connections, predict consequences, and identify potential obstacles. This comprehensive perspective enhances judgment and increases the likelihood of successful outcomes. Practicing quiet observation improves communication. When you speak after careful listening and assessment, your words carry more weight and precision. People are more likely to respond positively to thoughtful insights rather than reactive statements. Silence before speaking ensures that contributions are relevant, informed, and impactful. Observation also allows for internal clarity. Difficult situations can trigger conflicting thoughts and emotional turbulence. Silence gives space to organize ideas, prioritize concerns, and focus on what truly matters. This internal alignment makes external actions more purposeful and coherent. Decisions made from a place of clarity carry authority and confidence. Remaining silent before acting or speaking also protects relationships. Immediate reactions can escalate tension or create misunderstandings. Observing allows you to respond with sensitivity to others' perspectives, maintaining harmony while addressing challenges effectively. Silent reflection ensures that choices consider both personal goals and the well-being of those involved. Observation nurtures resilience. Difficult situations often test patience, flexibility, and judgment. By choosing to watch first, you strengthen your ability to remain composed and adaptable. This resilience allows you to navigate adversity without compromising principles, reacting strategically rather than emotionally. The practice of observing quietly before deciding also encourages accountability. When decisions are made with full awareness of the situation, the likelihood of error decreases. Accountability grows because choices are deliberate, informed, and aligned with long-term objectives rather than being driven by impulse. Incorporating observation into decision-making creates a rhythm of thoughtful action. Pausing to absorb information, evaluate options, and anticipate consequences cultivates a steady approach to challenges. This rhythm builds confidence, reduces stress, and increases the probability of achieving desired outcomes. Ultimately, observing quietly before acting transforms difficult situations into opportunities for insight, growth, and mastery. Silence is not passive, it is an active engagement with the present moment, a deliberate preparation for wise, informed, and effective action. By embracing this practice consistently, you develop patience, emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, and the ability to make decisions that are both deliberate and impactful. This practice reinforces the principle that wisdom often emerges in the stillness before action. By resisting the urge to react immediately, you gain perspective, preserve clarity, and enhance your capacity to influence outcomes positively. Observing quietly before deciding is a habit that strengthens judgment, protects relationships, and positions you to navigate life's challenges with confidence, foresight, and composure. Through consistent practice, silence becomes a powerful ally in decision-making. It provides the mental space to understand complexity, the emotional control to remain calm, and the strategic awareness to act effectively. Difficult situations no longer provoke anxiety or hasty responses. They become opportunities to apply insight, measured judgment, and disciplined action. Observing quietly ensures that every decision is deliberate, every action intentional, and every outcome aligned with purpose. Chapter 18T. Pause your response until calm thinking returns to your mind. In moments of tension or confrontation, the instinct to respond immediately is strong. Every fiber of your mind pushes for quick answers, for defending your position, or for clarifying your perspective before the situation escalates further. Yet responding in the heat of emotion often clouds judgment and leads to consequences you might later regret. Pausing your response until calm thinking returns is one of the most effective ways to maintain control over your actions, protect your relationships, and make decisions that reflect both wisdom and self-discipline. Silence in these moments is not avoidance, it is a deliberate strategy to allow clarity and reason to guide your response. When emotions surge, the mind tends to react impulsively. Anger, frustration, fear, or anxiety can distort perception, making minor issues appear larger or intentions of others seem more hostile than they are. Acting immediately under these conditions often produces reactions that are disproportionate, defensive, or misaligned with your true values. By pausing, you give yourself time to regulate these emotions and create mental distance between the stimulus and your reaction. This space allows reason to reassert itself and ensures that your response serves your goals rather than simply reacting to emotion. Pausing also creates the opportunity to consider the bigger picture. Difficult conversations or conflicts rarely exist in isolation. They often carry implications for relationships, work dynamics, and long-term consequences. Immediate responses tend to focus narrowly on the moment, failing to account for broader impact. Waiting until calm thinking returns allows you to evaluate the situation holistically, consider outcomes, and choose an approach that preserves both integrity and effectiveness. Emotional regulation is a key benefit of pausing before responding. Taking a moment to breathe, reflect, or even step away from the immediate situation prevents the escalation of conflict. Physiological responses, like increased heart rate or tension, naturally accompany strong emotions. Pausing allows these physical cues to subside, providing a steadier foundation from which to respond. The practice of calm reflection strengthens self-discipline, ensuring that reactions are measured and deliberate. Silence during emotional surges also encourages listening. When you refrain from immediate response, you create space to truly hear what the other person is saying. Many conflicts are exacerbated by miscommunication or by the failure to understand underlying concerns. By pausing, you can observe tone, body language, and context, which often reveal nuances that would be missed if you were focused solely on formulating a reply. Deep listening informed by calm thinking ensures that your response addresses the actual issue rather than just reacting to perceived offense. The pause allows for mental clarity and problem solving. Often, when emotions run high, the mind is clouded with assumptions, past grievances, and hypothetical scenarios. A deliberate pause helps organize thoughts, separate relevant information from distractions, and identify practical solutions. This clarity transforms reactive responses into thoughtful actions that solve problems rather than create additional tension. Pausing before speaking also protects relationships. Emotional responses can unintentionally harm others, creating rifts that might take time to mend. Choosing silence until calm thinking returns demonstrates respect for both yourself and others. It shows that your words are considered, intentional, and not driven by momentary impulses. This practice reinforces trust and reduces unnecessary conflict, allowing relationships to remain constructive even during disagreements. Practical ways to pause include taking deep, deliberate breaths, counting silently to 10, stepping away physically from the situation, or mentally reviewing the key points before responding. Simple techniques like focusing on the breath or repeating a calming phrase can slow the physiological and emotional surge, giving space for rational thought. The goal is to ensure that your response emerges from a composed mind rather than reactive impulses. Pausing also enhances accountability. When responses are delayed until calm thinking returns, you take responsibility for both your words and actions. This accountability fosters self-respect and credibility. People notice when reactions are thoughtful and composed, which strengthens influence and authority in both personal and professional contexts. Silence and patience in response convey maturity, self-mastery, and intentionality. This practice builds emotional resilience over time. By repeatedly choosing to pause before responding, you train your mind to manage strong emotions effectively. Situations that once triggered immediate anger, fear, or frustration become opportunities to exercise control and discernment. Resilience grows because the mind learns to respond with reason rather than instinct, creating a habit of measured action that strengthens character. Pausing also encourages reflection on values and priorities. Immediate reactions often reflect temporary emotions rather than guiding principles. By waiting for calm, you have the opportunity to align your response with your core values, ethical standards, and long-term objectives. This alignment ensures that actions are consistent with who you aspire to be rather than driven by momentary impulses. Silence during moments of high emotion can prevent escalation. Many arguments or conflicts spiral because both parties react impulsively, escalating tension unnecessarily. By withholding immediate response, you reduce the likelihood of adding fuel to the situation. A calm, measured reply, delivered after reflection, can diffuse tension, encourage dialogue, and lead to resolution rather than prolong conflict. Pausing before responding also improves decision-making. Time spent in reflection allows for weighing options, considering consequences, and anticipating reactions. This deliberate approach reduces errors, misjudgments, and regret. Every response made after calm reflection is more strategic, more effective, and more aligned with long-term objectives. This practice strengthens self-control. The impulse to speak immediately can feel urgent, but resisting that urge demonstrates mastery over instinct. Consistent practice of pausing reinforces discipline, teaching that control over words and actions is a choice rather than a reaction. Self-control gained in small moments of reflection accumulates into a consistent habit of thoughtful action. Pausing allows for empathy. Waiting before responding provides the chance to consider the perspective of others involved in the situation. Understanding their motivations, feelings, and concerns ensures that your response is compassionate, measured, and appropriate. Empathy strengthens relationships and reduces unnecessary conflict, making dialogue more productive and meaningful. The pause also encourages foresight. By stepping back and reflecting, you can anticipate potential reactions to your response, plan for contingencies, and craft replies that minimize negative consequences. Foresight ensures that words are not only accurate but effective in achieving desired outcomes. Implementing this practice consistently changes how challenges are approached. Situations that once provoked stress, rash reactions, or conflict become opportunities for reflection, understanding, and strategic response. Pausing cultivates calmness, clarity, and resilience, transforming difficult moments into growth opportunities. Silence after emotional surges allows time to reframe perspective. Often, the intensity of the moment skews perception, magnifying negatives and minimizing positives. Waiting provides distance to see the situation objectively, recognize potential misunderstandings, and identify constructive approaches. This reframing reduces unnecessary tension and guides responses toward resolution. Ultimately, pausing your response until calm thinking returns empowers both action and influence. It preserves clarity, protects relationships, strengthens emotional regulation, and ensures decisions are guided by reason rather than impulse. The habit of delaying reactions fosters self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and strategic thinking. It transforms challenges into opportunities for deliberate, purposeful, and impactful action. Consistently practicing pause and reflection builds a mindset of thoughtfulness, intentionality, and resilience. Every time calm thought precedes response, your capacity to handle conflict, complexity, and emotional intensity increases. Silence is not emptiness, it is preparation. It allows the mind to sort, analyze, and choose words or actions that reflect wisdom and purpose. Pausing before responding creates space for growth. It teaches the mind to manage impulses, regulate emotions, and approach challenges strategically. This practice develops patience, builds credibility, preserves relationships, and enhances overall effectiveness in both personal and professional life. Silence is an active tool that ensures every response is measured, thoughtful, and aligned with long-term objectives. By embracing the discipline of waiting for calm thinking, communication becomes intentional, conflict management becomes strategic, and personal influence strengthens naturally. Pausing transforms reaction into reflection, pressure into opportunity, and emotion into clarity. This habit empowers individuals to navigate life with purpose, integrity, and resilience, ensuring that responses are always guided by wisdom rather than impulse. Chapter 9. Protect inner peace by refusing useless arguments through silence. Protecting inner peace begins with a conscious choice to refuse engagement in arguments that hold no value or productive outcome. Many disputes arise from ego, misunderstanding, or the desire to prove oneself right, but responding to every challenge erodes mental calm and depletes emotional energy. Recognizing which arguments are useless is the first step toward maintaining a serene and focused mind. By practicing silence in such moments, you reclaim control over your attention, your energy, and your emotional state. Choosing not to respond does not mean weakness or passivity. It represents self-mastery, clarity, and the prioritization of long-term well-being over momentary satisfaction. Useless arguments often stem from interactions where the other person is unwilling to listen, compromise, or engage in a rational discussion. Engaging in these conflicts rarely resolves the underlying issues and often amplifies tension. By remaining silent, you avoid escalating negativity and maintain composure even when provoked. Silence acts as a protective barrier for your mind, allowing you to observe without being consumed by reactive emotions. Each moment of quiet reinforces your ability to detach from unnecessary conflict and preserve mental stability. Practicing silence requires awareness and discipline. Before responding, pause and assess the situation objectively. Ask yourself whether speaking will create clarity, resolve an issue, or contribute to a positive outcome. If the answer is no, consciously withhold your words. This habit strengthens your ability to filter interactions, ensuring that your energy is reserved for matters that truly matter. Silence becomes a tool for prioritization, guiding focus toward constructive action rather than fruitless debate. Refusing useless arguments through silence protects emotional energy. Every argument consumes attention and can generate stress, frustration, or lingering resentment. By abstaining from unproductive engagement, you maintain emotional balance and prevent unnecessary mental strain. This practice reinforces inner peace, allowing you to approach challenges with a calm and focused mind rather than reacting impulsively to provocations or minor irritations. Silence also models maturity and composure. Those who speak only when their words have value demonstrate strength and self-control. In situations where others attempt to draw you into conflict, maintaining quiet communicates confidence and restraint. It establishes boundaries without confrontation and shows that your energy is directed toward purpose rather than petty disputes. Over time, others will recognize your measured approach, and the frequency of pointless arguments directed at you will diminish. In addition, silence enables observation and understanding. Choosing not to respond immediately allows you to fully assess the dynamics of the conversation, including the motivations, attitudes, and emotional states of others involved. This awareness provides valuable insight into human behavior and guides more thoughtful decision-making in future interactions. Observing quietly helps identify patterns, distinguish between meaningful disagreements and trivial conflicts, and discern when engagement is truly warranted. Protecting inner peace through silence fosters clarity of thought. When you avoid the noise of fruitless arguments, your mind has space to reflect, strategize, and focus on productive tasks. Mental clarity is compromised when attention is scattered across endless disputes. By consciously refusing to participate in unproductive conflict, you create a mental environment that is conducive to problem-solving, creativity, and emotional resilience. Silence becomes an active strategy for preserving mental sharpness and maintaining focus on meaningful goals. Practicing this habit strengthens patience and self-discipline. Resisting the urge to respond in every disagreement challenges impulse and cultivates restraint. Each instance of withheld speech reinforces the ability to manage emotions, control reactions, and maintain perspective. Over time, this consistent exercise of restraint transforms inner composure into a default state, reducing susceptibility to provocation and fostering a sense of calm stability. Refusing useless arguments also protects relationships. Engaging in pointless disputes can damage trust, create resentment, or generate unnecessary conflict. Silence allows you to navigate tense situations without compromising respect or connection. It demonstrates an understanding that not all conflicts require confrontation and that maintaining harmony is often more valuable than proving a point. Protecting relationships in this way contributes to a peaceful and balanced social environment, enhancing both personal and professional interactions. Silence during fruitless arguments encourages reflection. Withholding immediate responses provides the opportunity to analyze the underlying causes of tension, evaluate your own emotions, and consider alternative approaches. Reflection improves emotional intelligence by revealing triggers, biases, and patterns of thought that contribute to conflict. This insight empowers you to respond more effectively in situations that matter and to disengage gracefully from those that do not. The practice of refusing useless arguments strengthens decision-making under pressure. In emotionally charged situations, hasty reactions often result in regret or escalation. By choosing silence, you create the space to evaluate options, consider consequences, and select responses that align with long-term goals and values. Each pause fosters thoughtful action rather than impulsive reaction, ensuring that words and deeds are deliberate, measured, and purposeful. Silence cultivates inner resilience. Life inevitably presents challenges, confrontations, and differing opinions. Engaging in every dispute is exhausting and unsustainable. By refusing pointless arguments, you preserve mental and emotional resources, enabling greater endurance and adaptability in the face of meaningful challenges. Resilience grows as the mind learns to distinguish between what requires action and what can be wisely ignored. Maintaining silence also reinforces self-respect and dignity. Responding to every provocation or attempt at conflict may give temporary satisfaction, but it often undermines personal authority and composure. Choosing not to engage demonstrates self-control and an understanding that true power lies in the ability to govern one's own actions rather than react to external pressures. Silence becomes a statement of integrity, confidence, and self-possession. Implementing this practice requires consistent awareness. It is easy to be drawn into debates when emotions run high or social pressures demand participation. Developing the habit of observing first, evaluating the potential value of engagement, and then choosing silence strengthens mindfulness. Mindfulness ensures that energy is directed toward meaningful contributions and prevents dissipation through unnecessary disputes. Silence protects time as well as energy. Arguments, even minor ones, consume attention and can derail focus from priorities, projects, or personal growth. By refusing unproductive engagement, you safeguard time for purposeful activity, reflection, and progress. This deliberate allocation of attention amplifies effectiveness and reinforces the habit of living intentionally rather than reactively. Choosing silence enhances emotional stability. Each avoided argument reduces the accumulation of stress, frustration, or irritability. Over time, the cumulative effect of these moments of restraint creates a baseline of calm, allowing you to navigate life with steadiness even amid challenging circumstances. Emotional stability supports decision-making, personal well-being, and the ability to maintain healthy connections with others. Silence also supports perspective. Distancing yourself from fruitless conflict allows you to see situations clearly, unclouded by defensiveness or anger. Perspective reveals what is truly significant, what warrants engagement, and what can be wisely ignored. This clarity promotes balanced judgment and ensures that responses are aligned with values and priorities rather than driven by momentary impulses. The habit of refusing useless arguments nurtures long-term growth. Energy conserved from avoiding pointless disputes can be redirected toward learning, skill development, personal reflection, and meaningful relationships. Silence transforms moments that could generate stress into opportunities for self-improvement, focus, and intentional action. Over time, the cumulative effect of this habit builds a life centered on purpose, clarity, and tranquility. Ultimately, protecting inner peace through silence is a choice of empowerment. It allows the mind to remain clear, the heart to stay calm, and the spirit to maintain composure regardless of external pressures. Each instance of withheld engagement reinforces self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and resilience. Silence is not emptiness, it is the deliberate cultivation of space, clarity, and strength. It ensures that energy is spent wisely, responses are intentional, and inner peace is preserved in the face of unnecessary conflict. Consistently practicing this approach transforms interactions and personal well-being. Arguments that once provoked stress or frustration become opportunities to exercise restraint, reflection, and judgment. Silence cultivates balance, protects mental and emotional health, and reinforces the capacity to navigate life thoughtfully and intentionally. Choosing when to speak and when to remain quiet becomes a defining skill, guiding behavior toward meaningful action and sustained inner peace. By refusing useless arguments through silence, the mind gains clarity, the heart retains calm, and life becomes more manageable. This practice ensures that energy is focused on what truly matters, emotional responses are measured, and inner peace remains intact. Silence empowers, protects, and strengthens the individual, creating a foundation for wise decision-making, personal growth, and lasting tranquility. Chapter 20a. Develop wisdom daily by speaking less and thinking deeper. Developing wisdom is a process that begins with a deliberate choice to speak less and think more. Words carry weight, energy, and influence, and when spoken without careful reflection, they can drain attention, provoke conflict, or misrepresent intentions. By cultivating the habit of restraint, you create space in your mind for deeper analysis, clearer reasoning, and more insightful perspectives. Thinking deeply allows ideas to settle, connections to form, and understanding to expand beyond surface-level observations. Daily practice of speaking less encourages patience, self-awareness, and mental clarity, forming the foundation for lasting wisdom. Observing before responding sharpens judgment and prevents hasty actions that may later require correction. Each moment of silence becomes an opportunity to evaluate situations more thoroughly, consider multiple viewpoints, and anticipate potential outcomes. Deep thinking fosters discernment, which enables you to identify patterns, understand motivations, and make choices aligned with long-term objectives rather than immediate impulses. By restraining verbal expression, energy is conserved for thoughtful reflection and meaningful engagement, ensuring words carry intention, purpose, and impact. Every interaction presents a chance to apply this principle. Whether in personal relationships, professional settings, or casual encounters, choosing when to speak and when to remain silent allows for thoughtful contributions rather than reactive responses. Observing conversations attentively enables understanding beyond the obvious, revealing unspoken intentions, subtle emotions, and underlying truths. Silence enhances the capacity to listen actively, absorb context, and develop responses that are measured, effective, and wise. Thinking deeply is not only about processing information but also about examining the self. Self-reflection uncovers biases, assumptions, and habitual reactions that may hinder growth or cloud judgment. When you speak less, you avoid unnecessary reinforcement of shallow perspectives and allow space for introspection. Questions about personal values, priorities, and actions can be explored in depth, producing insight that informs both decisions and interactions. Wisdom emerges from this deliberate engagement with thought, fostering emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, and personal integrity. Daily practice strengthens mental resilience. Refraining from impulsive speech in emotionally charged situations prevents regret and maintains composure. Over time, silence transforms into a tool for emotional regulation, enabling a calmer and more deliberate approach to conflict, challenge, or critique. Each instance of thoughtful restraint reinforces the mind's capacity to remain grounded, focused, and rational, even when circumstances are complex or tension is high. Wisdom develops through observation as much as reflection. When you speak less, you naturally become more attentive to the words, gestures, and behaviors of others. Patterns in human behavior, recurring challenges, and subtle cues become more noticeable, providing valuable information for making better decisions. Deep observation helps anticipate consequences, understand perspectives, and respond in ways that maintain harmony while achieving objectives. By blending listening with careful thought, knowledge is translated into applied wisdom. In addition, speaking less fosters humility. Recognizing that you do not have all answers encourages learning from others and acknowledging diverse viewpoints. Humility expands perspective and enhances the quality of judgment. Thoughtful reflection, combined with modesty, produces insights that are not only accurate but also considerate, empathetic, and applicable in real-world scenarios. Wisdom grows when you approach situations with an openness to learning and an understanding that silence can be a teacher as much as words can. Practical application of this principle requires consistency. Start by monitoring the impulse to speak, particularly in situations of stress, excitement, or disagreement. Pause, evaluate the necessity and potential impact of your words, and only speak when meaningful contribution is possible. Simultaneously, dedicate time to deliberate thinking, reflection, and mental review of daily experiences. This deliberate balance between silence and contemplation reinforces cognitive discipline, strategic thought, and informed communication. Critical thinking is enhanced by restraint. When speaking less, there is more room for analysis, reasoning, and evaluation. Each observation, interaction, or piece of information can be considered fully before forming a response or conclusion. This leads to sharper insights, more effective problem solving, and decisions grounded in fact and understanding rather than impulse or emotion. Wisdom is built in the space between observation, reflection, and purposeful action. Silence also improves communication effectiveness. Words delivered without preparation or clarity can lead to misunderstanding, confusion, or unnecessary conflict. By speaking less, You ensure that every word is deliberate, intentional, and constructive. Deep thinking before expression enhances clarity, precision, and persuasive power. People naturally respect and pay attention to measured speech because it reflects consideration, intelligence, and self-control. The habit of thinking deeply and speaking less also strengthens emotional intelligence. Being aware of when to withhold words helps regulate reactions, manage stress, and maintain composure. Observing emotions internally allows for conscious processing rather than automatic response. This awareness of self and others improves relationships, encourages empathy, and fosters trust. Wisdom is expressed not only through knowledge but also through measured, emotionally intelligent behavior. Reflection enables long-term learning. By reviewing daily experiences, interactions, and decisions, you gain insight into patterns of success and areas for improvement. Silence creates the opportunity to assess consequences without distraction, deepening understanding of cause and effect. Thoughtful evaluation of past experiences strengthens intuition, sharpens judgment, and equips you to navigate future challenges with insight and foresight. Developing wisdom through restraint builds discipline. It is easy to succumb to the urge to speak, justify, or react immediately. Choosing not to respond reinforces self-control and strengthens focus. Each moment of deliberate silence trains the mind to prioritize reason over impulse and long-term value over short-term satisfaction. Consistent practice transforms restraint into an automatic response, making thoughtful action a natural habit rather than a conscious effort. Observing and analyzing interactions enhances strategic thinking. Recognizing motivations, intentions, and emotional undercurrents provides insight into how best to engage, negotiate, or respond. Deep thought allows for careful planning, anticipation of outcomes, and informed decision-making. Speaking less amplifies this capacity by freeing mental resources for analysis rather than dispersing attention in reactive expression. Wisdom emerges as a combination of observation, reflection, and strategic application. Silence encourages mindfulness. When words are minimized, attention can fully focus on the present moment, increasing awareness of surroundings, context, and internal state. Mindfulness promotes clarity, reduces stress, and facilitates more thoughtful and intentional responses. The practice of speaking less and thinking more cultivates a mental environment in which insight, creativity, and understanding can flourish without distraction or haste. Over time, deliberate silence and deep thought reinforce integrity. Decisions and communication reflect intentionality rather than reaction. People learn to rely on your judgment, value your contributions, and respect your approach. Wisdom manifests not only in internal insight, but also in external influence, creating consistent alignment between values, actions, and outcomes. This habit nurtures personal growth continuously. Each day offers opportunities to refine judgment, improve understanding, and strengthen decision-making skills. Speaking less creates space for thought, reflection, and learning. Deep engagement with ideas and experiences cultivates a richer perspective, enabling thoughtful contributions to every area of life. Wisdom becomes a daily practice, not a passive trait, actively shaping character and behavior. Ultimately, developing wisdom through speaking less and thinking deeper is a deliberate choice to prioritize understanding, reflection, and intentional action over impulsive reaction. Silence creates space for insight, observation, and careful evaluation. Thoughtful reflection transforms knowledge into applied understanding, and intentional communication enhances impact. Daily practice reinforces discipline, emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, and self-awareness. This practice ensures that actions, decisions, and words align with values and purpose. Wisdom becomes a measurable outcome of observation, reflection, and restraint. By consistently speaking less and thinking more, insight becomes habitual, judgment improves, and interactions gain clarity and effectiveness. Inner peace, confidence, and competence grow together, producing a life shaped by thoughtful action, meaningful understanding, and enduring wisdom. Speaking less and thinking deeper transforms the way life is approached, decisions are made, and relationships are managed. It ensures that energy is used purposefully, insight is applied wisely, and actions contribute to personal growth and meaningful outcomes. Daily cultivation of this habit builds intelligence, character, and resilience. Wisdom becomes the natural result of deliberate practice, reflection, and mindful engagement with life. By consistently embracing silence and deep thought, each day contributes to a life of clarity, insight, and purposeful action. Understanding replaces impulsivity, reflection replaces haste, and intentional communication replaces empty words. Wisdom is developed gradually, reinforced by every moment of measured restraint and thoughtful reflection. Through this practice, a person becomes more effective, grounded, and perceptive, navigating life with intelligence, patience, and enduring understanding. The journey of developing wisdom is continuous. Each day provides new challenges, interactions, and experiences that require thoughtful evaluation. Choosing silence when words are unnecessary preserves energy, promotes insight, and cultivates discipline. Engaging in deep thought transforms observation into understanding, knowledge into practical guidance, and experience into long-term learning. Speaking less and thinking deeply ensures growth, clarity, and mastery in every aspect of life. Daily practice of this principle builds mental strength, emotional stability, and thoughtful decision-making. Silence fosters clarity, deep reflection produces insight, and measured expression strengthens relationships and influence. Wisdom becomes a habit rather than an abstract concept, demonstrated through deliberate choices, thoughtful communication, and conscious engagement with life. Each day of mindful restraint reinforces a foundation of understanding, judgment, and purposeful action that grows steadily over time. By embracing the discipline of speaking less and thinking deeper, life becomes more manageable, decisions become more informed, and actions become more effective. Insight, clarity, and understanding grow with every pause, reflection, and observation. Wisdom becomes an outcome of deliberate practice, sustained attention, and mindful engagement with both thought and action. This habit transforms perception, behavior, and results, producing a life guided by reason, awareness, and intentionality.